Hello, hey everyone. Thank you for joining on yet another live stream. If you're listening to the audio version of this at a later point in time, know that this is a podcast called Vibo Talks. It's available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, etc., etc., etc. And you should share it with your friends if you like it. If you are here right now on the live stream in the chat, you are either a long time subscriber or a member. And you are a member because I'm seeing a bunch of members in the chat. There is Samarth, there is Diamond Being, and then there is Sundarji. This YouTube channel got monetized a short while back, and today I what's the word? What is the word when you make something live? Enliven. Today I enlivened the memberships feature, which means that for 160 rupees every month, you can become a paying member of this channel, and in return, you get certain perks, which means that you have access to certain emojis. Samarth has already started using them in the chat, and you get a badge next to your face on the live chat. And also, when you ask a question, it gets priority, so that if there is a lot of people, if there are a lot of people asking questions and you ask a question as a member, your question will get highlighted, and I'll be able to show it on screen. I am actually able to show you Diamond's notification right now. Here he is. Your questions will show up on the screen like this. Every question will show up on the screen, but your questions will look nice. Before I go further, I want to clarify something. This channel actually grew faster than I was expecting it to. In that, I have YouTube channels which have thousands of subscribers but are nowhere close to getting monetized. This channel grew very fast. The live streams grew, the interviews are getting watched a lot. It got a lot of collaborations with other channels also. So it did well. And now I'm in a good place with respect to the monetization and everything. However, I have had a Patreon page for a number of years now, and I have learned something. And that lesson is that you should not promise more than you're able to deliver. If I make multiple tiers and then I add a bunch of things like I'll make private videos, I'll do private live streams, and then nobody turns up for those, because let's face it, we have like less than 2,000 subscribers right now, and the number of members is also something I can count on the fingers of one hand. And I don't want it to grow so fast that I can't keep track of it. So what I have done is that the membership tier right now is only one tier. There is only one category called Vimohian. If you join, you become a Vimohian, you get the perks that I just mentioned. Going forward, I'll add more stuff. I have already received some feedback from people, and I have also made a list of things that I have wanted to make available to people, and those will happen in due course of time. This channel has grown slowly, and I hope it keeps growing slowly but steadily. So don't worry about the fact that there is just one tier. We're going to manage with it. If I had so many members that I needed to do a separate live stream for them, I would. But I don't have those. I have a small number of members. So we will manage in the regular live stream. The people who become members will have certain perks. And in due course of time, the number of those perks will increase. Maybe there will be other tiers. Maybe there won't be. I don't know. We will see. We will see how this works out. If you have been on my Discord server also, you know that I take very cautious steps. I take very cautious steps. I don't want to start something with a whole lot of features in it and then find myself unable to manage it all. So we will go slowly but steadily, and we will get to great heights, I hope. Having made all that clear, hello to everyone in the chat. There are 18 or 20 people right now. Hello to everyone in the chat. Hello, Yash. Hello, Batman Begins. Hello, Nazu. Hello, Rishikesh. हेलो प्रतीक यादव एंड ऑफ कोर्स डायमंड का जो कमेंट के बाद प्राउड विमोहियन, ये थैंक्स डायमंड, इट मीन्स अ लॉट मैन, इट मीन्स अ लॉट, थैंक यू. Today's topic, we wanted to talk. I wanted to talk about a little bit. I'll talk about this a little bit, and then I'll open it up for chat comments. If you have questions on any point, at any point, please leave them in the chat. I will also share the link later on after I'm done talking and after I have looked at a few comments, so people can come on screen and we can talk face to face. Today's topic was about how we keep saying that in order to remove religion and religious influence and superstition from society, we need to spread more education, right? And we keep saying this despite the fact that there is very little evidence to suggest that the educated are less religious or less superstitious. And the reason behind that is that I think we are kind of not our assessment that education and lack of a religion or superstition is somehow related, uh, we is wrong in some way. Because I'll tell you what, we have spoken on this channel before about how one of the main reasons people remain in their religion or create justifications to justify their continued religiousness is childhood indoctrination. If you are a child, then if you're a child, you have been introduced to the religion at a very, very early stage in your life, a stage where you are completely innocent and your understanding of the world is very limited. Instead of telling you that the world was created through natural forces like the Big Bang, tectonic plates move the ground around, tides are created by gravitational fields from celestial bodies. Instead of being told all that, we are told simple moral fables, which have their uses, I suppose. But the side effect is that at a stage in life when you're supposed to, at a stage in life when you are taking your very steps into understanding of the universe, you get thrown into religious outlooks and you get uh, introduced to a lot of superstition. This gets into you at such a young age that even when later on you do get educated, you are unable to leave all this, because not only have you been taught these things are being reinforced every single day through daily rituals. You may be going to take a physics exam in school, but you are going to do a matha teko in front of the devi devtas of your family. You may be going to a college somewhere outside India to study quantum mechanics, but your parents will still go to the local priest or the local uh, imam and ask them for blessings for you, because they, just like you, have been religiously indoctrinated since childhood. Religion becomes an intrinsic part of everyday life, and therein I think lies the problem, because the people who are creating justifications for religions are not fools. They are smart people, they are educated people, they have excelled in their areas. The reason they like we keep hearing, right, like even Newton was religious, etc. The point is that we don't remember Newton because he was religious. If Newton was just religious, he would have been part of some massive group of people who who exist all over the world. There is no difference between Newton and me in that case. But Newton is remembered because he was something more than just religious. He was a smart person who created mathematical equations to explain the workings of the natural world. In his opinion, he was doing God's work, perhaps. But had he only been doing God's work, we would not remember him. Why am I wearing a headphone? Sorry. The thing is that Newton, like a lot of people before him and a lot of people after him, was indoctrinated into his own religion, and his outlook towards the world was formed by that religion. And even when he got to a stage where he was able to apply his incredible intelligence to understanding the world, he was still somewhat doing it through the religious lens because there was no other lens available. My opinion is that religion persists not because of lack of education, but because of everyday rituals. Because of यहाँ मत्था टेको, वहाँ पे देख के आँख बंद करो, ये बुदबुदाओ, वो बोलो, इस चीज़ को हाथ लगाओ, इस चीज़ को हाथ मत लगाओ. Daily habits that are sought to be inculcated in children. I'm not saying all of these habits are bad habits, but some of these habits, almost all these habits don't have any bearing in reality. There was some criticism for the organization called Alcoholics Anonymous, where it is very difficult. Like, people were of the opinion that it is very difficult to leave addiction without belief in some kind of external agent. And therefore, Alcoholics Anonymous tended to become somewhat religious. Like, people were supposed to have guides, etc. But the problem that is often pointed out about it is that it's like basing your addiction free life on belief in a supernatural deity is like building a house on quicksand. Sure, you'll build a house, but will it last? So there is that. I think everyday rituals which are taught to children at a young age tend to do a lot of damage as far as superstition in society is concerned. You will find incredibly well educated people who refuse to let go of their religion for no reason other than that this is what I have been brought up with. Religion becomes an essential part of personal identity at a very young age, and that is why we continue to live in a society where, where superstition continues to exist and even reign supreme in many cases. Let me look at a few comments. If I find some segues, I'll take them. um Right. So we have the crazy guy who says, I think highly educated people are religious because they have sacrificed many things along the journey that they don't want to be isolated at this point of time in their life, I guess. Not everyone who is highly religious has sacrificed many things. Many of them come from affluent families and have never had to struggle for things as much as some people who might not be as educated as them. Education is not always a function of hard work. It is always high education is always a function of high intelligence, but high intelligence is not always directly associated with hard work. Some people have privileged lives. Some people who go to Harvard and simply because their daddy went there and they could connect them to someone who also goes there. Uh, American politics is full of people who went to Harvard and are outright racists and fools and believe in young earth creationism. Glamour IQ says, my many friends are highly educated, but they still believe supernatural things. Yeah, exactly. It's about childhood indoctrination. Pratik says, do we all agree that the premise of the question is true? Uh, I'm assuming you mean what I wrote in the thumbnail. Many highly educated people are religious. Yes, I'm not saying most, I'm saying many. The number of highly educated people, if you go and ask every highly educated person, are you religious? Do you believe in God? You will receive the answer, yes, I believe in God, many times. Not all the time, not most of the time, but many times. Yash Jha says, problem is that even if religion teaches us morality, but then what happens? The people of the same community will tell us to fight for those ethics, but in their way, haha. Yeah. So the problem is that religion does not teach morality, and when people say that religion teaches morality, it is it is an unverified and unverifiable claim, because by any modern standards of morality, most religious texts are full of immoral things. Nazu says, I am not sure I agree with the wording of the question. Are you saying that the majority of highly educated people are religious? No, I'm saying many. Many does not mean most. Many simply means many. In a group of 10, 3 can be many. Many is quite, uh, many is hard to quantify, which is why I used it, because I don't want to make any statistical claims. Uh, Yash says, by the way, Baghdadi, ISIS leader, was a PhD, if I'm not wrong. Yes. Look at IITs and how many bucks come out of there. High education by no means is an indication that someone will understand the importance of society being free from superstition or religious influence. That's the point. Pratik says, physics example, absolutely bang on. The human mind is so complex, we can balance two polar opposite ideas without much effort. I would not make that a point about the human mind, because I think other animals' minds के बारे में हमको कुछ खास पता नहीं है. Agastya says Newton wasn't religious per se. His obsession with Bible was more to do with trying to find hidden messages in it more than religious orthodoxy. He also dabbled in alchemy and many other things. Yeah, my point exactly. If he was dabbling in alchemy, it means that he was superstitious. If he was dabbling in trying to find religious messages hidden in the pages of the Bible, then he was doing it for the same reason. The reason he was trying to find a pattern in the page numbers of the Bible is because he was trying to determine the date of the second coming of Christ. That much I think I'm sure of. Although I didn't sound very sure. I think I'm sure of. Nazu, I think it is a fact, says Samarth. Alien says, apparently LSD trips are quite effective at curing alcoholism. Yeah, I have heard so too. However, LSD addiction is a different thing altogether. एक चीज से मुक्ति मिली और दूसरे का एडिक्शन हो गया. Harkamal Singh says, Hi Vimo, you're doing a fabulous job. Would like to have a conversation regarding how to convince my girlfriend that I am against Modi but not a Hindu hater. If you're having that hard a time doing it, okay, I don't want to pass any comment about your relationship, so I will avoid talking about it. But if you want to talk about it, feel free to join through the link when I share it. Pratik says, Why are highly educated people often religious? I just told you. That's the whole point of what I just said. Why are highly educated people often religious? Because most people are, in my opinion. No, I don't think most people are religious. Most people have some conception of religion because religion is widespread and we have all heard about it and talked about it and spoken to our families about it. I think that is why. It would be interesting to know whether it is possible to bring up a child with no conception of religion and if they still become religious. Nazu says high education level doesn't necessarily mean highly intelligent. No, it doesn't. But assuming a person went into a field like physics and assuming they wrote a lot of papers which explained expanded humanity's understanding of physics, they can still be religious. A lot of very important scientific discoveries have been made by intelligent people who are highly educated and skilled at their area, and they still believed in supernatural elements. Miles says APJ Abdul Kalam was religious, superstitious, and spiritual. He was a devotee of Satya Sai Baba. Yeah, I don't know if he was a devotee of Sai Baba, but he was religious. The crazy guy says how to counter isolation that comes with leaving a religion. I think I spoke about this last week. It will pass. A period of time happens when you feel very empty because there is no real direction in life. And because of that, you feel very bad. However, uh, what is actually happening is that the thing using which you have defined yourself till now is now missing, and therefore you have a bit of an identity crisis. Many people can't stand this identity crisis and they go back to their religion, and they become even more vociferous followers of religion because now they have an example of what they felt, the emptiness. But if people are brave enough to fight through the emptiness for a short period of time, they come out better at the other end with a more fuller understanding of themselves and the world, and they are able to express themselves more clearly with respect to what they have gained and what they have lost. Vikram says, real incident that happened to me 2 days ago. I do not want to be married, and my mama literally asked me if I was gay and was quite adamant that I should leave my home if I was gay. Does your mama decide whether you live in your home? Are you living with your mama? And your mama is not a very nice person, obviously. Dragoons says, what about the people who are pretty open about using religion as a tool? Hindu atheists, for example. Hindu atheists are neither Hindu nor atheists. Well, they are Hindu, but they're not atheists. Diamond Being says, the presence of something called IIT IIM matrimonial is perhaps the logical. Oh, yeah, I saw that ad. Have you guys seen that ad where Karan Johar was advertising IIT IIM matrimonial.com? Like, aside from the nightmare URL, who can spell it? IITIIM matrimonial.com. 21 characters. Karan Johar made a video where he was advertising IIT, IIM, etc. And it's so cringy. Matrimonial is perhaps the logical manifestation of a society that views education as an investment, marriage as a transaction, and maintaining class hegemony. Why is this in quote? Where did you get this? Pratik says, gotcha. Yash Jha says, non living idols are divine, but living humans who are the least become untouchable. Veda's law. Yeah. If people, I think it is conceivable that if people cause less emphasis to be given to supernatural realities and beings, they might gain more respect for things that do exist, like actual human beings. Munmun says education in India or conservative countries is viewed as an obstacle. If one uses perks of privilege, that is education, one can end up with a prestigious job, which reinforces the social power structure. Yeah. In fact, one of the main reasons in India, upper caste people are able to say that they only have what they have because of merit is because of this. A lot of upper caste people who have things in life don't even realize that they have things is because of their social privilege. And therefore, people who don't have social privilege, people from DBA backgrounds, are said to be unmeritorious. So this is a case of social privilege creating advantages, and then the people who get those advantages not believing that they got those advantages because of social privilege and causing some other explanation to be given for their good fortune. Miles says Shyam Manav openly exposed APJ Abdul Kalam in rational and ethical way. I haven't seen that video. Radha Mittal says, I'm tired of my relatives telling my mom that your daughter is going in the wrong direction just because they don't support Modi and they think I have a Muslim boyfriend since I'm an atheist. LOL. Wonderful. कहाँ से आते हैं ये लोग? कहाँ मतलब आई थिंक ये रिश्तेदारों वाली बात आज ये दूसरा कोई कर रहा है, बट आई थिंक अ कपल ऑफ वीक्स अगो आल्सो somebody came and said this. इंडिया का सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम लाइक यू नो there are two aspects to this. One is obviously the Modi supporting thing, which is a thing in itself. The other thing is the rishtedar wala thing, because it is entirely possible that there is a Muslim girl out there who's an atheist, and their rishtedars are telling them ki you have gone over to the Modi side. रिश्तेदारों का लोगों की लाइफ में नाक घुसेड़ना is a I think it's an Asian thing because I've also heard Chinese origin Americans complain about this. Like aunties who are always judgmental. नौकरी क्यों नहीं करता? नौकरी कर लिया तो शादी क्यों नहीं करता? शादी कर लिया तो बच्चे क्यों नहीं करता? और बच्चे कर लिए तो और बच्चे क्यों नहीं करता? बच्चे क्यों नहीं पर बच्चों की सेना क्यों नहीं बना रहा? रिश्तेदारों को और पड़ोसियों को ये सब करने से फुर्सत नहीं है. Sintu Gamer says, hello, sir. Hi, Sintu Gamer. Sridhar says, former ISRO chairman went to temple before satellite launching. Yeah, that was another example I wanted to talk about. Like, ISRO scientists are clearly not dumb, right? They have done the math, they've done the physics, they have created exquisitely accurate machines. And yet, when they're launching their missiles and rockets, they will do a puja. Why is it? There are two things at work here. One, the math and the science. Two, the religion and the ritual. Only one of these things is essential for the missile or the rocket to work: the math. Without the puja, the math will still work. Without the math, no matter how much puja you do, your rocket will not take off, let alone reaching where it is supposed to reach or doing what it is supposed to do. I think scientists and doctors and people who do this kind of stuff realize that that is the case. They know that this is the case. They only do it in a symbolic capacity. And the only reason they go for it in that symbolic capacity is because they have been indoctrinated as children into their religion. These are basically old habits that they cannot let go, and old habits that if they let go they will suffer social consequences, like parents will say बच्चा बिगड़ गया, मुसलमान boyfriend हो गया या कुछ. I wonder if ISRO scientists get asked if they have Muslim boyfriends. Saurav says nowadays religion is entering in the college university campuses also. Yes, and that is the sad part. Because like, we were just talking about highly educated people. If highly educated people in university, college campuses, etc., keep falling for superstitious garbage, no matter how modernly it is dressed, then we are doomed. Like the state of the sciences in our country will go down. American education system struggled for a long time as far as teaching evolution in schools is concerned. There were people who campaigned to keep knowledge of evolution out of schools because they thought it was irreligious. And the reason they thought so is because Christian mythology believes that human beings were created by God. Adam was created and a woman was created out of Adam, and the serpent came and the apple danced, and who the fuck cares? Alien says psychedelics are not addictive substances. Okay, I could be wrong. Kaushal says most versus many. Not all highly educated are religious, but enough, and that is a problem. Yes. And I'm not generalizing, by the way. I'm not saying intelligent people are religious or that religious people are always intelligent. I am simply saying that many intelligent, highly educated people happen to be religious. And if our statement that religion and superstition can be curbed by education is true, then that would not have been the case. Samarth says, Harkamal Singh, welcome to the club. I also face similar problems. Diamond Being says, technical intelligence is different from social, ethical, moral. I agree. I think that is the distinction that needs to be made. In fact, I think I should do at least one live stream about arts education in India. Would that be something people are interested in? Let me know. Saurabh Devnath says, in IIEST Shibpur, a central university, in their orientation program of first year students, Gita was chanted. Wonderful. यही दिन देखना बाकी रह गया था. Agastya says Hindu atheist. Sounds like a Vatican astronomer. Vatican astronomer is actually something that can exist. If you're an astronomer and you look at the stars, you're in the Vatican City, you can do so. Samad says, Raj Sarit Khare, you can also go green and use these emojis. Yes, I will just remind everyone that memberships are now available on this channel. Available, bol raha hu. Odia accent, sorry. Available on this channel. If you look below this video, you will see a join button. Click on it. There is only one tier. 160 rupees per month is the fee. If you contribute that much every month, if you become if you become a member, then you can have access to emojis and badges and priority visibility of your comment on screen and a response. Akash says, worst thing after BJP is our relatives. Kaushal, relatives interfering is an Asian thing. Yes, Southeast Asian countries value conformity. Yeah, everyone is in a race to look exactly like their neighbor. Anyone who looks slightly different, and this may also be a reason behind racism and casteism, anyone who is not like us, we will stay away from them. These are walls that exist in our minds. You don't have to build gated communities because people are still going to subscribe to this sort of thing. Nazu says, may not be an Asian thing because I have heard of American Jewish families being just as bad as Asian ones. Yeah, I agree. American Jewish families are also a bit like that. I've also heard this, but I cannot confirm this because I don't know any of them. Samarth says, and these rishtedars are getting more on our nerves since 2014, as if they have got some divine authority to do that since Modi became PM. They have become even more illogical in their arguments. Yes. I think rishtedars were always bad. This is just the latest crop of it. And even if this government changes and some future government happens and people are as devoted to that future leader, the same thing will happen. Crazy guy says, I think there is fear in their hearts of religion is due to indoctrination. Yep. And that they are doing it to calm their nerves. Wait, what is that in response to? Anyway. Munmun says, Abdus Salam, only Muslim Pakistani physics Nobel awardee, said he made his discovery because of his religious belief. Yeah, a lot of people see this is what happens. An intelligent, science oriented person will do something science oriented and then give credit to their religion. It is doubly frustrating when these people do it consciously to to endear themselves to religious fundamentalists, but there are also people who do it unconsciously. Like I mentioned Newton, there was Ramanujan, the mathematician from India, who used to credit his n- hi- a Hindu goddess for his mathematical abilities because his brain was so intuitive. He did not actually have to consider how he was doing something. His brain presented him with the answer through pure intuition. And he could not figure out how that was happening. So he gave credit to the goddess that he worshipped. Rajendran says there has to be a categorical isolation of spiritualists from philosophers. They get somehow intermixed. This makes even the educated difficult discriminately identify. I think one of the reasons I was just talking about the importance of arts education is because this kind of distinction will not be taught by science. It is taught in humanities. Like you have a difference between a sociologist and a psychologist, right? But because we discourage our children from going into humanities, people often don't realize that these distinctions exist. To them, a smart person is a smart person. Like who the hell knows what Devdutt Patnaik is? Devdutt Patnaik is called a mythologist, but what academic discipline does his work actually come under? There may be an answer to this, but my point is that nobody cares. Oh, look, a smart person. Khatam hogi baat. There is nothing else. Miles Davis says after Sanghis, casteist upper caste liberals are more cruel for DBA community people. True. But I suppose casteist upper caste liberal is also अच्छा वैसे संघी नहीं बोल रहे हो. I would categorize them as the same people. I don't think there is a difference. I used to think there are like liberal upper caste people and Sanghi upper caste people. But if someone does not know what is the difference between casteism, like there are people who are like, there are upper caste people who will say, so casteism is bad, but taking pride in your caste is not bad. It is the same thing, Baba. That is the problem. They don't understand this. The liberal will say, I'm not casteist, but I'm proud of my caste. It's still casteism. So I put them in the same category. We have a 200 rupees super chat from Milind Sonone. कहाँ गया भाई? हाँ. Thank you, Milind, for supporting once more using 200 rupees. You can just become a member now. There is a membership available, and the join button is under the video. But thank you for this. कहाँ गया भाई? Kaushal says, yes, please, arts education video would be good. Yes, we will do this. Nazu says, I think the childhood indoctrination sets the foundation, but later in life, even when the mind questions, it is more likely to want to see answers that reinforce that childhood belief. Yeah, that is my point. Childhood indoctrination gets into us so deep that even when we are able to leave it, we can't because we are emotionally attached to it. Munmun says 49% reservation in medical engineering college started just in 2006, 16 years back. It has been projected as reservation is more older than the caste system itself. What? It is being projected as reservation is more older than caste system itself. I don't understand what you're saying. How is the reservation older? Battler Yushiromia says, can you please clarify on one interesting discussion regarding falsifiability of atheism? Does it not need it because it is a negative assertion, or should we ask God to show himself any other test? I'm an agnostic atheist, so I do not make any claims about the non-existence of God, and therefore there is no need for falsifiability. If I was making a claim, I would need to, show evidence or make it falsifiable. If someone says God exists, that's a claim. If someone says God does not exist, that is also a claim, philosophically speaking. And therefore, I do not do that. My position is that I do not know, and there is no evidence to support the theistic claim that God does exist. And I have no evidence to, there is no evidence to support that claim. Therefore, my position is that I don't know. And because I don't know, it means there is no reason to believe. Why would I believe in something I don't know? Samarth says the schooling and university system reminds us of all these rituals at every stage. Indoctrination starts at morning assemblies in schools and continues through Saraswati pujas in universities. Yes. And of course, these are all essential practices, quote unquote. The crazy guy says, I think, and it's an unpopular opinion, uniforms should not exist because they take out individuality from a person. I agree. I don't think schools should have uniforms. Kaushal says, someone said, Rishtedar second to BJP. Bhai, BJP is in power because of those Rishtedars. Why BJP is opposing Gandhi when most of his ideas match with their ideology, like his ideas on religion and socialist policies? Because of that non-violence thing. These are basically turbo nationalist macho boys, or rather not macho boys who want to be seen as macho boys. And Gandhi's non-violence makes them think, nahi yaar, aise nahi, humko to maarpeet karni hai. So if your ideas are based, if your entire organization, if your entire parent organization is inspired by Nazis, obviously you're going to be opposed to Gandhi. Agastya says, oh, I was thinking about the religious ceremonies before launch. Oh, okay. Agastya says Ramanujam didn't. There is a story of him showing his ankle roughened by rubbing chalk off his slate, saying, "This is how I came up with the solution." No, there are also stories. I wasn't there, but I have read stories about him claiming that the goddess gave him the answer in his dreams. Uh, Arvind says, because nobody teaches us about atheism, everyone we encounter in the world teaches about faith and religion. Yes, yes. In fact, one of the main reasons I started the Hindi podcast, Nastik Chai, which जिसके एपिसोड आ रहे हैं, इनफैक्ट आई एम प्रोबेबली गोइंग टू यूज द लाइव स्ट्रीम इटसेल्फ टू रिकॉर्ड नास्तिक चाय, बट उसका प्लान अभी बन रहा है. द फर्स्ट सीजन ऑफ नास्तिक चाय, द पॉडकास्ट इज अवेलेबल ऑन एवरी ऑडियो प्लेटफॉर्म. यू कैन जस्ट गो टू nastikchai.com and find it. nastikchai.com. The reason I started that podcast is because I wanted to create a daily ritual for atheists. Not a magical, superstitious ritual, but a podcast episode appearing in your phone every morning at 6 a.m. and you listening to it, and it's about atheism. Because that's how religion does most of its work. It becomes part of everyday life. And atheists have to find ways of becoming part of people's everyday lives. Even science education was once upon a time part of people's everyday or rather weekly life because there were science shows on television. These days, we have spoken about this before on this live stream. The number of science shows on television is probably zero. Most science content exists only on YouTube. Saurav says, doesn't matter which scientist believes what, because when they are doing science in lab, God is outside the door. In research publication, peer reviewer will throw the paper if God is mentioned. Exactly. And also, God is not outside the door. God is not even outside the universe. Samarth says, negative claims also need evidence. Absence of evidence is, देखो समर्थ सुधर गया. Samarth सुधर चुका है. A few days ago, we had a conversation about this exact thing. Negative claims also need evidence. Absence of evidence is not the same as evidence of absence. I learned that the hard way. Seriously. Thank you for using an emoji. कॉमराड विकास says, भाग्यवादी युवा एक देश की प्रगति को पीछे धकेलता है. मैं आपकी कथन से पूरी तरह से सहमत हूँ. The crazy guy says, do you know what bad uniforms have done? In Japan, ponytails are being banned. My problem with uniforms, I don't know about Japan. उनका कारण तो थोड़ा patriarchal है. But my problem with uniforms is that our schools are in any case factories where students are trained to become like each other. हर कोई सेम बुक्स पढ़ेगा, सेम टीचर से बात करेगा, सेम चीज़ें एग्जाम में लिखेगा. द ट्यूशन सिस्टम इज बेसिकली, अगर कोई कभी तुम लोग ट्यूशन गए हो तो तुम्हारे जो टीचर होते हैं वो तुमको नोट्स देते हैं. तुम लोग बिना समझे नोट्स लिख लेते हो, तुमने एग्जाम में जाके वही सब चीज़ें छाप डालते हो. देर इज वेरी लिटिल स्कोप फॉर ओरिजिनल थॉट. The liberal arts education system is actually not as stringent as what we have today, and our system is basically the British school system. And I think it is it is it is a system more suited to prisons than it is to schools, and uniforms are part of that prison system. That is my problem. The crazy guy says, do you know what no, sorry, Munmun says Ambedkar's birth anniversary is coming up. Do a stream or video essay on Ambedkar in coming weeks. I will try, ma'am. I will try. Maybe we will do readings from his books or something. Battlestar Ushiromiya says, Samarth, so what kind of proof can someone give for a negative assertion? That's the point. You can't. Any assertion, if you have a burden of proof, negatives cannot be proven. Nandita says, I think uniform should exist, especially in schools, as it could lead to a lot of insecurity based on what you're wearing. You have seen that in American teen shows. It's all about show. Not necessarily, because हमारे schools में जो up and down होना होता है, it happens despite uniforms. ऐसा नहीं है कि हमारे स्कूल में बच्चों के बीच में डिस्क्रिमिनेशन होता नहीं है. और अच्छे कपड़े, बुरे कपड़े, the schools can perhaps have some limited amount of, like, तुमको कम से कम ये पहना, they can have a dress code, but to insist that everyone wear exactly the same clothes of the same color, that's a different matter. That's my point. Yash says, Vimo, many people support religion because they provide them with a sense of community. What is your take on that? Yeah, I agree. Religions do provide people with a sense of community. The point is that community is not something that can only be gotten from religion. Football clubs create community, book reading clubs create community, farmers have community without religion needing to exist. Communities don't need religion. The crazy guy says, so by making Nastik Chai, you are Uno reversing the theists. Nice. Well, that's the hope. That's the hope. One podcast is not going to change much, but that's the hope. Kaushal says, remembered an anecdote, possibly apocryphal. Laplace, a French scientist, wrote a book on astronomy. Napoleon asked him why he has not mentioned God in the book. Laplace replied, this hypothesis, sir, explains in fact everything, but does not permit to predict anything. As a scholar, I must provide you with works permitting predictions. Hmm. Yash says Uno reverse ritual. Uh, Saurav says God is outside the door. I meant belief of God is outside the door. I got it. I got it. I was joking. Samad says, Rushiromya, I can give an analogy. Consider the claim that the largest prime number cannot exist and there exists a mathematical proof for it. Okay, I will skip that one. Karan Trivedi says, as individuals, how exactly do you think one should approach conversations about religion with educated people having religious convictions to make them see the irrationality of their beliefs? Start with respect. Like, don't enter the conversation seeming like you know more than them. If someone is more educated, smarter than you, then there are good chances that they have perhaps simply not considered their view. So ask them. I would say the first sentence should be perhaps like what this channel does. There's a channel called Street Epistemology. What he does is that he goes to people and he asks, okay, so this is what you believe. You believe that God exists. How sure are you? Like 1 out of 10. Out of 10, if 10 is the high, 10 is absolutely sure and 1 is zero sure, where are you? And when they say that, nobody says 10, most people don't say 10. When someone says 8 or 9, he asks, so what is the part that you are not sure about? Which part do you think you still have doubts about? And when they tell you what the doubt is about, you say, yeah, that's a good point actually. What do you think could be the answer? So like that, maybe that will help. There is a book called A Manual for Creating Atheists. It has more of this. Monmon says that's why Fourier transform is better than okay. That's again engineering में चलेगा तुम लोग. Samad says Battlestar Battler. I mean, no matter how logical or truthful it seems at prima facie reading of it, it is still a claim which was mathematically proven to give it the authority of a rule. Sahil says if God gets credit for good, it should also be held accountable for whatever bad happens. In theory, yes, but I'm hesitant to do that because if see the conversations when they happen about God, a person will you will say to a theist, a believer who says that God gave us this, God gave us that, and you will say, yeah, but God also gave us disease. And at that point, you have bought into their viewpoint. You have accepted that God exists. You need to make clear, first of all, that assuming you are right, did God not give us disease? Did God did not give us natural disasters? Make it clear. Don't start by saying God gave us bad things because then you will have a tough time getting out of it. And you don't in any way believe that God exists. Agastya says, was in dinner so could not answer in time. The stories of Ramanujan's divinations were more people in his locality spreading the stories rather than him giving credit to Namagiri Devi or some other god. Okay. I don't know if, like, is there a source for this? Because from what I have read, Ramanujam himself gave this credit. And if I'm wrong, please do correct me if you have a source or something. Munman says, bookshelf, show us 3 or 4 favorite books of yours. Okay, so here's what I will do. The next live stream, I will show you books and I'll introduce you to a bunch of my favorite books. I'll just show you the books and I'll tell you what they're about and why I like them. That's cool. Because अभी उठ के जाना लेके आना stream का topic कुछ और है वो थोड़ा बिगड़ जाएगा. The next live stream is going to be me showing you my books. Cool. The crazy guy says we are on the verge of becoming a cyberpunk civilization and people still believe in religion and rituals. A cyberpunk civilization might simply be the beginning of our troubles. Because a spacefaring civilization is less likely to be religious, a cyberpunk civilization will probably drop deeper into religion because it's all about consciousness and interaction and language and building realities. So I'm actually quite excited to see what tomorrow's religions will be like. I'm saying excited, but I'm probably equal parts horrified also. Amritpal Sodhi says, hi, Vimo. Hi, Amritpal ji. Agastya says, Ramanujan has been portrayed more orthodox than he actually was. Probably. Karan says, thank you. Thank you, Karan. Uh, Amripal says there is no God. Out of fear, men made it. I don't disagree. Even though I think that's an oversimplification, I don't disagree. Samarth says we are planning to land on Mars and our rishtedars are still looking for Mangal dosh in our kundalis. Opinion hated says as long as people aren't forced to do stuff, religion should be a personal issue, right? What schools can do is introduce people to respect all beliefs, including non-believing, of course. I agree. And if that was the extent to which we are able to do, I would be totally happy. But the problem is we are not in that world. We are in a world where religion is thopod on a bunch of people. Religions are religious people force non-believers to respect, pretend to respect their religion. Religion is spilling out of religious books and entering classrooms and labs and hospitals. And that's the world we live in. If what you're describing sounds positively utopian to me, ये भी बहुत दूर है अभी. If we were here, I would not have much of a problem. I still think it is irrational, but I probably would not be talking about it and making content about it. Saurav says, in conversation between Laplace and Napoleon at last, Laplace said, I had no need for that hypothesis. Good, sir. Fair enough. The point is that whatever we know about nature, we see no need to include God in it. Anyway, हम लोग थोड़ा क्लोज आ गए हैं. मैं अभी I will share the link in the chat if anyone wants to join by video or audio and talk to me. Use this link. The link is shared. Battler says, where exactly did the Indian rationalist movement go wrong with how the right keeps on talking about how they could not be proud of who they are? We should not have a fledgling rationalist movement. Well, I don't think it went wrong. I think it has been suppressed to a great degree. There have been murders of rationalists. There has been an appropriation of atheism by Hindus. Like, look at how it happened. Hindutva quarters murder rationalists, and then upper caste Hindus come and claim that they're Hindu atheists. Rationalist movement is being appropriated by Hindus. Robin Hood says, why is there a deep sense of servitude in Indians, even in educated adults, towards their bosses? It's a cultural thing. It's a culture of how children are taught to respect elders and respect people more powerful than they are. I have written about it actually a lot. I will share those posts in the community tab in sometime in the future. But if you go to my blog at vimo.stack.me, you'll find these essays. Benjamin says, should we conduct atheism workshop in schools, colleges, universities? How? What will these workshops be like? And what do you think will happen at the end of them? Student union organization members will come and say, "ए, हमारे धर्म का अपमान कर रहा है." ये बहुत मतलब I think school colleges में if you want to do something, teach science and spread knowledge about available literature on science. Science is exciting, right? If someone is interested in science, you can teach them about science, and slowly their belief in whatever they believe in will sort of begin disappearing. Sahil Sood has sent a super sticker for 200 rupees. Thank you, Sahil Sood. Much appreciated. Uh, Yash says, did you think art and philosophy are keeping religion still alive? For example, to understand Gitanjali written by Tagore, we should have an idea of Upanishads and Hinduism because they had references. I am not opposed to religious texts being studied. I am opposed to them being treated as explanations of reality. When that happens, it goes from being literature to being something of an infallible claim about which no questions can be asked. I don't know who it was, but they I if someone finds out the source of this, they can tell me. There was a writer who said, I would much rather have questions that cannot be answered than answers that cannot be questioned. Let me just pin the link to the top of the chat so that people can click on it and join by audio or video. Uh, so what happens is that I'm not at all opposed to people studying Bhagavad Gita or Quran or Bible, as long as it happens in an academic fashion and is not taught by opposing religious viewpoints as the ultimate explanation for reality, because that is the fear. The reason a lot of people The reason people like me are opposed to religious text being taught in schools and colleges is because we think that religion is bad. I think the best way to counter religion is to teach religious texts, but in an academic way. If people find out that these are simply books and stories told by people who did not know any better, or people who are trying to solve social problems, or people who were simply writing fiction, then the problem will go away, because people will come to the realization that, okay, these are just books, and they are just books, and some of them have actually good stories. So I think people should be taught religious text, but not as religious texts the way religion teaches them. And yeah, they do help you understand literature a great deal. Amritpal says religion is like keeping people in tribe and following chiefs, priests, and thieves. Yeah. Shivtanay Joshi says, when do you think people will stop believing in such superstitions? I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. And when it does happen, we shall see. The crazy guy says, I would recommend the movie Transcendence by Johnny Depp and Nolan. I fear that future. I've seen it. It's quite creepy. It's cyberpunk. Yeah, it's cyberpunk, but actually not a cyberpunk society. It's actually a, how do you put it? It's the beginning of a cyberpunk universe through some kind of a tech innovation. Milind has become a member. Hi, Milind. Thank you, and thank you for becoming a Vimohian. That is the word I've come up with to explain people who join. But thank you for becoming a member, Milind. Much appreciated. Uh, Agastya says there were rationalists here and there, but there was no full-fledged movement that was there. How do you define a movement? If there are even 4 or 5 people, and they have inspired a lot of people to reject religion, then there is a movement. Dragoon says, regarding appropriation of atheism from Hindutva quarters, their founder Savarkar was a Hindu atheist. Savarkar never actually called himself a Hindu atheist. That phrase is relatively new, I think. But yeah, Savarkar fits the bill. Shivtane says, science is interesting up until people start saying it is already there in our holy book. Yep. Science is interesting until people start saying that. However, there is another problem, and that problem is that a lot of people who say that it is there in our holy book are not actually scientifically literate. They're like there is a XKCD comic about how someone is checking science's ass. So that is what is happening. Uh, the people who say it is already there in our holy book are people who only say these things because they need to keep their religion alive with a dose of science. We have someone in the we have someone waiting here in the chat. Dr. Stone, anime fan.
Hi,
Dr.
Vimo.
Stone, hi.
Okay, so I have seen that today's topic is why are highly educated people are often religious. So, mm yeah, I mean, this is reflected in our education also. I mean, in our research field also. Like,
Hmm.
we are investing so much, so less in exploration field. Like, can you understand that,
Yeah,
what
yeah, yeah.
I am want to convey?
Yeah, go on, go on.
So we are actually spending so much lesser amount of money, and day by day, I mean, and there I saw a report, it is decreasing day by day. This
Okay.
I mean that funding.
Hmm.
Even my university, like I am actually
Don't
in
give
a
locality. Don't tell me where you're
okay,
from.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so in my my university is I mean is very renowned for his its research, but nowadays it's getting less and less amount of fund.
Yeah, that
And
is a problem. That is a problem, and it is a problem that we are going to pay dearly for. I would actually be interested in finding out whether this university ka funding wala thing that you're talking about, whether this has changed over a generation. Like when I was a child, was there higher funding and now we have less? Or overall, if anyone has stats, please do share. Like, has the funding to universities science education curricula, has it gone down since independence, or has it gone up? Or even if you want to account for inflation, is it more or less static, or is it now going steeply down?
For some field, it is static. Like some day ago, the budget was announced, and it was said that they increased by 6% or something
Hmm.
the budget, but the inflation rate also the same. So
Okay.
the funding is obviously this remains the constant.
Hmm.
Uh,
Got it. Got
and
it.
in
Yeah, it is a point that is worth looking at. I think the reason I made this the topic of today's chat was quite different, but I think there is some attention that needs to be paid about how much money we are spending on this thing, and you do make a good point.
Also, I have read an article that the Mars mission, which was launched, I think, at 2013, Mars orbiter mission, that was actually a type of what can I say, political stunt. Like 15 kgs of scientific instrument load payload
Hmm.
was removed, and after at the same time, their NASA launched the Maven mission, but the
Hmm.
scientific output was so much. If you compare the two missions,
Hmm.
you can see that Maven's science output is much greater than the
Yeah, that I agree with.
that's
But the thing
M1
is,
mission.
the thing is this: uh, America got to the moon not because it thought that going to the moon was a noble pursuit. It got to the moon because it was competing with fucking Soviet Russia, right?
Cold
So
War, Cold War era.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah. So the purpose was very political. I don't care if
yes,
the purpose is political. If the goal is reached, if India can send a device to orbit Mars and it does orbit Mars, I don't care why it was sent. Asaram Bapu can send it for all I care. No, not Asaram Bapu. He's a sexual offender. If Baba Ramdev can send it for all I care. But if it goes and it works, it's okay. But the thing is, uh, the state where we are, right, as far as science education is concerned, is so sad that we can't be choosers. No matter what reason our space exploration is done, I will accept it as long as it is done, because overall the end result is good. And of course, even in politics, a lot of things happen sometimes. Like, in order to get rid of one bad leader, two slightly less bad leaders will ally with each other. At that point of time, we can't be chooser कि नहीं ये भी बुरा है वो भी बुरा है. Look at the end result, right? So unless you have to compromise in some horrifically immoral way, I'm mostly okay if the reason was political.
yes. But when we are launching something, in space,
Hmm.
our goal should be the scientific. I mean, it
I
should be
agree.
meet.
I
We
agree.
should
Like
not
the
remove
mission
that.
could have the mission could have done more good, is what you're saying.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Because you saw that Hubble telescope, which
Hmm.
was launched 30 years back,
Hmm.
this is actually running till day.
Hmm.
They launched Voyager 1 at that time,
Hmm.
and these are sending data nowadays.
Hmm.
Till days, they are sending data. I mean, we have to achieve this type. I mean, I know. They our ISRO, they are doing a very good job in um, cutting the. Using less amount of money.
Yeah,
But
I think
also,
our
if
approach
there is
towards
science, I think we should invest. We should not cut like this. We
I
should
agree with you. See,
invest.
my point is this. Suppose
If
you
there
have
is science.
suppose the choice is in front of you. A space mission is either going to be sent minus 20% of the equipment, or it is not going to be sent at all. What will you choose?
Then I will choose -20%.
I think that is it's a sad choice, but I think that is a choice we are left with. Sure, the 20% of additional equipment would be a great idea, but if it is not possible, then I would rather it be sent without that equipment and still do something, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the point. But thank you for calling, man. There are three more people waiting. I will have to, unless you had something to add.
No. Okay. Okay.
Cool.
It's
Thanks,
alright.
man. Thank you so much. Thank you for
Thank you.
joining. Bye.
Bye bye.
So before I take on the next person, I have to thank Amritpal Sodhi for the 200 rupees wala super sticker. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Let me just check if there are any others that I missed. Um, nope. Cool. So I will get to the comments. Don't worry. But let me just take on logically. Hi, logically.
हाय विमो, हाउ आर यू?
Good. Good. How are you?
फाइन। बस मैं ये बोल रहा था, आपने उसका कभी ट्राई किया इंटरव्यू सोचा लेने का, मेघनाथ या शार्दुल जो है न्यूज लॉन्ड्री में?
मेघनाथ का मैंने सोचा है, मैंने उसको मैसेज नहीं किया, बट आई विल
हाँ
इफ ही एग्रीज
तो
वी विल हैव हिम।
बहुत अच्छा आइडिया, आप मेरा वाला आइडिया आपको पहले ही आ गया।
नहीं, मेरे पास एक
और
लिस्ट है लोगों की जिसमें मैं लोगों को ऐड करता रहता हूँ, एंड आई थिंक
हाँ हाँ,
मेघनाथ के साथ मैंने पहले भी बात की है क्लब हाउस वगैरह पे, एंड
अच्छा,
आई थिंक वो एक इंटरेस्टिंग
बहुत
आदमी
ज्यादा
है उससे
इंटरेस्टिंग
बात
रहेगा।
करने को। हाँ
हाँ, पूरा टाइम लेके करना।
जी जी बिल्कुल, मैं
यू-
उसके साथ अगर करूँगा तो अलग से एक पूरा एपिसोड करूँगा।
हाँ, यूट्यूब पे ही करना।
हाँ
और मैं ये जानना चाहता, जैसे ये थोड़ा डिफरेंट हटके है, क्या पता आपके कोई
हम्म
व्यूवर्स का जवाब दे दे। जैसे
हम्म
एक जो भी बजट होता है ना, गवर्नमेंट का जो
हम्म,
बजट होता है, जैसे
हाँ
एजुकेशन बजट है या कोई बजट है, तो वो जैसे इंडिया का बजट जीडीपी से क्यों रिलेट करते हैं? जीडीपी जैसे 200 लाख करोड़ की जीडीपी है इंडिया की, और बजट होता है शायद 35-40 लाख करोड़ का।
मैं सर
तो जब
फाइनेंशियल
भी,
एक्सपर्ट नहीं हूँ,
अच्छा,
मैं इसका
ना
ढंग से जवाब दे नहीं पाऊंगा। अगर आप चाहें तो मैं कभी किसी फाइनेंशियल एक्सपर्ट्स को बुला सकता हूँ और हम उनसे दोनों ही मिलके सवाल
ना ना,
पूछ सकते
आप
हैं।
खाली मेरा सिंपल सा, कोई एक्सपर्ट वाला पॉइंट नहीं है, सिंपल सा पॉइंट है, मतलब कोई, मैं भी कोई
हम्म
एक्सपर्ट नहीं हूँ, क्या पता कोई
हम्म
आपका व्यूवर ही जवाब दे दे। कि जैसे बोलते हैं कि एजुकेशन का बजट 4% है,
हम्म
तो टोटल बजट का परसेंटेज से नहीं बताते, उसको जीडीपी के परसेंटेज से बताते हैं। पता नहीं, ये मेरे को समझ नहीं आया। चलो कोई कोई बता पाए इसको।
मुझे पता नहीं सर, अगेन मैं जिस बारे में नहीं जानता मैं उस बारे में
हाँ
बोलता
चलो
नहीं हूँ,
कोई।
आपको पता है।
हाँ, और एक मेरा लास्ट पॉइंट है, जैसे ये आप एजुकेशन की बात कर रहे हैं,
हाँ
एक नई चीज नोट करिए, जैसे ये श्री 40 साल से लगे हुए हैं,
हम्म
और इन्होंने अपनी पूरा काफी अपना फॉलोअर्स बनाए, और कभी ये मतलब ज्यादा रिस्की इंटरव्यू नहीं देते, कोई डिबेट में इंडल्ज नहीं करते, फालतू बकवास नहीं करते, बहुत सोच समझ के बोलते हैं।
हम्म
मगर उसका उल्टे तरफ 5-10 साल में सदगुरु ने पूरा मार्केट शेयर ले लिया है, उनको कोई डर नहीं है।
उनका उनका
वो,
एक अलग प्रकार का कॉर्पोरेट कंपटीशन चलता रहता है बाबा लोगों का।
हाँ मतलब उन्होंने देखो ना, वो कितना रिस्क लेते हैं, उनको जो मन है साइंस सूडो मतलब पेडल कर देते हैं, जो भी मन
हाँ
बकवास
हाँ
करते हैं,
हाँ बिल्कुल
और कितने रिस्की इंटरव्यू देते हैं, और रिस्की डिबेट
हाँ।
में इंडल्ज करते हैं, मतलब उनको कोई डर नहीं है। और आप उनके खिलाफ कितनी
मुझे
वीडियो
लगता
बना
है
लीजिए,
बाबा लोगों का यह है कि जब भी कोई मतलब डिपेंड करता है वो सरकार या पॉलिटिशियन से कितने क्लोज हैं।
हाँ
अगर
वो,
अगर क्लोज हैं तो सेफ है, अगर क्लोज नहीं है तो मतलब जब भी सरकार को अपने आप को सेक्युलर साबित करना होगा तो वो किसी बाबा की बलि चढ़ा देगी।
मतलब थोड़ी अजीब सी बात नहीं है, मतलब पूरा मार्केट शेयर कैप्चर कर लिया मतलब श्री को पीछे छोड़ दिया सदगुरु ने।
हम्म।
चलो ठीक है,
सही है
आप
सर।
कैरी ऑन करिए।
जी सर, थैंक यू फॉर ज्वाइनिंग। नेक्स्ट इज अरुण दंतुलुरी। हाय अरुण।
Hi.
हाय।
Uh, so
कैन यू
I,
स्पीक अ
I
लिटिल लाउडर, योर वॉल्यूम इज क्वाइट लो।
oh yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. Anyway, I kind of think science education isn't enough because like if you just teach them about an idea like gravity or evolution, they'll just say that doesn't necessarily disprove our beliefs. So why can't we preach our beliefs? So I think there also needs to be some education on how to rule out bad claims, claims based on unfalsifiability. We can educate people to rule out logical fallacies and biases.
Yeah, so I figure that a lot of people who are highly educated in science are already aware of these things. They know how to rule out bad claims. Like if forget science, like अभी अगर किसी के घर कोई आएगा और बोलेगा if you give me if you give me 5,000 rupees right now, I will create a rabbit out of my hand. People will say no, thank you, right? The
Yeah.
problem only arises when it is a religion that they are emotionally attached to. Like if a Muslim holy man goes to a Hindu family and offers to do something, they might say no. But if a Hindu
Yeah.
holy man goes to a Hindu family, they'll say नहीं नहीं बाबा जी आए कुछ तो होगा फिर, गेरुए वस्त्र पहने हैं, तिलक लगाए हैं वगैरह वगैरह. And it all goes back to how we imagine religious claims. So when people are when people are more like, when are people more likely to believe and when are people less likely to believe? So ये gravity वगैरह की चीज़ें तो फिर भी sophisticated चीज़ें हैं. There are people who have studied about space, science, physics, everything, but they will still forward your WhatsApp forward about how the core of the galaxy is aligned with the planets, and that is why Mahashivratri is important. They don't feel the need to explore it further because it makes them happy on some level, on some religious level. They'll just accept it.
Well, that's where our gaps in knowledge come into. So basically,
No, I'm
we
saying they don't have a gap in knowledge. They understand these things and they still accept the lie. That is the problem because of childhood indoctrination, emotional reasons. It's not
well,
simply the whole point of why I chose this topic is that we think it is about understanding. It is not. It is about emotion.
hmm,
Like, I
but
can understand when people are not well read, not educated, falling for superstition. When educated people fall for superstition, the argument that superstition is caused by, uh, lack of understanding, it goes out the window. It's not about understanding anymore.
well, I mean, yeah, I guess, but in that case, we can't really do anything, right?
We can try to like, I know on a practical level, preventing all the children out there from being indoctrinated as children sounds impossible. But if you create religions also are part of culture, right? Religious
Yeah,
culture was once non-existent, but now it exists and it is widespread. So the idea is to create a culture of critical thinking and science education, which can be meted out to which can be given to children right from a young age. मतलब तुम्हारे घर में कोई बच्चा है, उसको कोई ताबीज़ पहना रहा है या तिलक लगा रहा है, say no to it. This is lasting damage. This is going to affect this child's ability to process reality when they're 25 years old.
but they will perceive that as bigotry.
Hmm. They will perceive that as bigotry, but at some point, how I don't think it is bigotry. They might perceive it as opposition to their religious identity.
Yeah.
Right, because bigotry is essentially religious. Like, you cannot be an atheist bigot. If you're saying God does not exist, you cannot be a bigot, at least as far as that view is concerned.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of struggle with it a little bit. You have to say, listen, I have no problem with you taking the child to a temple or a church or a mosque, but don't put markings on their body. Don't put tattoos, don't put tabis, don't make them do things that they don't want to. By the way, I was listening to this Muslim person who is in Saudi Arabia, and they were talking about their child, and they were an atheist, from a Muslim background, and they said, I don't want my children to follow all this, but if I tell them to not read the namaz, etc., my neighbors will feel bad, my family will feel bad. What do I do? The advice given to them by someone very wise, I'm forgetting when I heard this and from whom, but the advice given to them was, tell them it is unimportant. Tell them that
Hmm.
if they don't do it, it's okay. And they
Yeah.
won't do it because they're children. They have 50 other things to do. They'll play video games. Who wants to sit down and pray 5 times a day? So just
Yeah.
by doing that, you give a message saying it's a thing. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't feel like doing it, don't do it. If you want to pretend to do it, that's also okay. If you're just doing it for the mithai during the festivals, that's also okay. Devalue religion. I think one of the problems atheists often run into is that we keep trying to destroy religion. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But if we devalue it, if you tell people, sure, it's a thing, you can go to Japan or you can not go to Japan, it's a thing in life. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. If we limit it to that only, I think we will make much more progress than if we हटाओ religion, हटाओ, खुले में हगना बंद करो, ये सब करेंगे ना, तो it becomes harder to do because people double down on their culture. They think they're in danger, and they start doing it even more. But if you
Yeah.
simply shrug and say, then it works better.
Yeah, I mean, but like that won't work on someone who's so like if you're trying to convince like your own parents or like parent of a friend, that it isn't important, and they give you arguments from personal experience for why it benefited them, and then they say, so why can't I like encourage my child to do all this stuff?
Yeah.
You can't really debunk their personal experience
I'm not
because
saying I'm not saying it will work on everyone. I'm saying that to whatever extent it is going to work, it's going to work in this way by devaluing religion, not by trying to destroy religion. I'm not saying that if you devalue religion in front of everyone, every single time we will meet success. But there are always going to be people who don't want to let go of it. There are always going to be people who will push back. But the pushback is going to be harder if you say, abandon all religion and surrender unto me, which is, by the way, a Bhagavad Gita quote.
I just ran into this problem like a few hours ago with my parents, where they gave me
What happened?
arguments from. They gave. I told them that if they make a claim, the burden of proof falls upon them.
Hmm.
And then I was given arguments from personal experience. I had responses, but I couldn't say it to them without sounding rude, or say in a way that would make me not sound like a jerk.
Hmm.
So I just had to concede.
Take it like, treat it like a war in which this was one battle. You're going to win
Yeah,
some, you're going to lose some, and at the end of the day, they're your family. So फैमिली के अंदर कम से कम बहुत सीरियस झगड़े शुरू करना इज नॉट अ वाइज आइडिया. इवन आई डू दिस. Like,
yeah,
if I have to convince my father of something, it is more useful if a friend of mine comes and tells him. If I
yeah,
tell him, he will never listen because he has seen me in a chaddi. So and my opinions are always going to appear childish to him. So I get my friends to sometimes do it. I used to, but never mind.
I was literally told, if you rely on burden of proof, it will only slow you down.
No,
I
it
don't
won't.
even know what that means. This is
It means
what
that
my
it will
father
slow you
said to
down
me.
from believing ridiculous things.
Yeah, my father literally said this to me, by the way.
Yeah, that's because burden of proof is hard to get over. People try to avoid it. One of the most common arguments you hear from religious people is that मैं क्यों साबित करूं, तुम साबित करो कि मैं झूठ बोल रहा हूं. And this line actually works nowhere else in life. It only works in this one place,
Yeah, yeah.
or seems to work. चलो
Anyway,
ठीक है अरुण. Thank you for calling. I have a couple of more people to get to. Unless you had something to add.
bye. I have to go anyway, so I'll see you later.
Cool. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. So before I take on the next person who is waiting in the queue, give me 1 minute. I want to read a comment from Milind, who has again sent 200 rupees. Thank you, Milind. Many computer scientists in India say religion, spirituality is far beyond science. They say जहाँ तुम्हारा साइंस खत्म होता है वहां से धर्म अध्यात्म शुरू होता है. ये झूठ है. अगर किसी को साबित करने को बोलोगे तो कोई कर नहीं पाएगा, क्योंकि सच ये है कि साइंस तब शुरू हुआ जब धर्म की शक्ति क्षीण पड़ गई. If religious people still had as much power as they did back in the day, science would not be what it is today. The only reason religion actually existed for a number of years was because anyone who questioned it was actually literally killed or burned. जब रिलीजन की पावर घटी तब साइंस का उदय हुआ, और उसके बाद हमको वो सब कुछ मिला है जो आज हमारे पास है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल द इंटरनेट and medicine and electronics and the whole lot of technology that we use in day to day life. लोग कहते इसलिए हैं क्योंकि रिलीजन शुरू होता है साइंस के बाद. वो इसलिए है कि देखो ऐसा है, ये है पास्ट, ये है प्रेजेंट, ये है फ्यूचर. पास्ट में रिलीजन का बोलबाला था, पर अब नहीं है. ये प्रेजेंट है, यहाँ साइंस का बोलबाला है, और डेस्परेटली कोशिश की जा रही है कि किसी तरह रिलीजन को जिंदा रखा जा सके. और चूंकि वो नहीं हो पा रहा है, रिलीजन को धकेल के फ्यूचर में भेजा जा रहा है कि हाँ ठीक है, अभी नहीं है पर हो जाएगा. देखने वाली बात यह है कि जब था तब घंटा था, कुछ करता नहीं था, ये पड़ा था और खून चूस रहा था. अभी नहीं हो सकता क्योंकि द वर्ल्ड इज बाय एंड लार्ज सेक्युलर एंड साइंटिफिक. to whatever extent you consider appropriate in conceiving of such a world, because I know it's not always easy to see it every day, but we still do live in a world where science is everywhere. So they cannot justify religion now, so they keep pushing it in the future. मैंने ये आर्ग्यूमेंट कितनी बार सुना है पिछले कुछ दिनों में, जहां लोग कहते हैं वन डे साइंस में प्रूव दैट गॉड एग्जिस्ट्स, एंड माय आर्ग्यूमेंट इज ओके, जब प्रूव करेगा तब देख लेंगे, अभी तो नहीं किया ना. Why should I assume that it is going to prove? Or even if it is going to prove that God exists? जब करेगा तो देख लेंगे, देखेंगे एविडेंस क्या है, देखेंगे क्लेम क्या है, देखेंगे जस्टिफिकेशन हाइपोथेसिस के सारे ये क्या हैं, देखेंगे क्या एक्सपेरिमेंट करके प्रूव किया गया है, देखेंगे उन एक्सपेरिमेंट्स को कैसे रेप्लिकेट किया जा सकता है या फॉल्सिफाई किया जा सकता है, देखेंगे तब. जस्ट बिकॉज इफ यू कैन मेक अ क्लेम कि एक दिन साइंस प्रूव करेगा, देन आई कैन मेक ए टन ऑफ क्लेम्स. एक दिन साइंस प्रूव करेगा कि पूरा ब्रह्मांड मेरे पिछवाड़े से निकला था, डोंट बिलीव मी, एक दिन साइंस प्रूव करेगा. ये आर्ग्यूमेंट है ही नहीं. इस बेसिस पे तो कुछ भी बोला जा सकता है, और ये सारे धर्म के लोग बोल सकते हैं. क्रिश्चियंस बोल सकते हैं एक दिन साइंस प्रूव करेगा कि जीसस का सेकंड कमिंग होने वाला है. मुसलमान बोल सकते हैं, हिंदू बोल सकते हैं, हर धर्म के लोग बोल सकते हैं. इससे क्या साबित होता है? इट्स अ क्लेम, इट्स अ सिंपल क्लेम. बट थैंक यू फॉर द क्वेश्चन, मिलिंद. Somebody was asking Samarth why he is green. Samarth is green because Samarth is now a member of this channel. And if you want to become a member, you can do so. The join button is below this video. Having said that, I will take Harkamal Singh. Harkamal, hello. Thank you for joining. Sorry for making you wait.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So, hi Vimo, how are you?
Hello, Harkamal. I'm okay. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. And you're doing a fabulous job,
Thank you,
and
sir.
yes. So my question to you is that I've been dating a girl that she's been we like sort of met on Instagram, right? And she had a farming background, and
Okay.
I came from a Sikh family.
Hmm.
But although I'm an atheist, although from a long time, over the years, I've turned in atheist. Obviously, I wasn't born atheist, right?
Got it. Got
So
it.
I was, yes. So, but then later on, what I realized that she belonged to a Brahmin family,
Hmm.
and the differences came, right? Whenever we used to talk to each other, whenever we used to conversation, like having any sort of conversation with each other, right?
Hmm.
And later on, what I find out that okay, the farming background, when it affected her,
Hmm.
like when Modi, when BJP, okay, when BJP, they brought these farm laws, sort of, they wanted to draconian laws. I would say that, right?
Got it.
But they did not.
I agree.
Yes,
I agree.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When it affected her, because her
Because of
background
the
was,
farming background. Huh.
yes, yeah. So she raised a voice against Modi, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But whenever it came to anything that was the BJP was they've been doing anything against Muslims since 2014 that I've been seeing, because although I consider myself an atheist, but I still belong to a Sikh family, right?
Hmm.
So whatever they have been trying to do is suppress the minorities in India right now.
Yeah.
She will not raise any voice against Modi or BJP when it comes to Muslims or Sikhs. You can say that. I mean, this is what I mean to say, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But when it comes to her, when it comes to her background, right? When the Modi is attacking her, like you can say that her like farming background or whatever it is, right?
Hmm.
When something was attacking her choice of interest, or when something was attacking her own background, she was speaking against it. But when now she's calling me anti-Hindu, and I'm not
Okay.
even anti-Hindu anymore. I mean, it is hilarious to me when
I
she
get
calls
it.
me
I get it.
anti-Hindu, because
Yeah. मेरे को हफ्ते में 6 बार लोग एंटी हिंदू बोलते हैं, एंड मैं उनको बोलता हूँ कि मेरे सामने आके डिबेट करो मेरे साथ हिंदुइज्म के बारे में, तो कोई करता नहीं है, क्योंकि ये बोलना बहुत आसान है किसी के ऊपर एक्यूजेशन लगाना. बट माय क्वेश्चन इज, व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज इट दैट आई कैन हेल्प यू विद? व्हाट इज योर क्वेश्चन?
Okay, okay, I'll tell you what. How can I convince her that I'm not an anti-Hindu, but I'm anti-Modi? Because Modi is like obviously anti-minority.
Right. So here's the thing. She probably understands
Okay,
the
okay,
difference.
yeah.
She probably understands the difference between anti-Hindu and anti-Modi. The reason a lot of people from a
Is
majority
it because of the
background,
upbringing in the Brahmin family?
probably. I did not even know that she was Brahmin, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yes,
What I
yes, she
have,
is. She
what I
is.
have experienced is that for privileged people in any country, it is very difficult to see that their life is a result, their good life is a result of their privileges. So there are even Hindus who are like, uh, हमको महंगाई से प्रॉब्लम है, अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट से प्रॉब्लम है, बट सरकार बहुत अच्छी है, and they will continue to support the government because the government is giving them some good value for their thing. But the reason they will not empathize with people who are not from their community and are getting oppressed is because their privilege protects them, and they are under the mistaken assumption that a government which is hurting those people will never hurt me, because their civic sense, which is that हम एक देश में रहते हैं, हम सब आपस में भाई बहन हैं, हमको एक दूसरे के राइट्स का ख्याल रखना चाहिए, क्योंकि अगर मेरे पड़ोसी के राइट्स का हनन हो रहा है और मैं चुप रहूंगा, तो वो दिन दूर नहीं जब मेरे साथ भी यही होगा. पर जो झूठ
Exactly.
उनको
Yeah.
बोले गए हैं, ये उन झूठों को मान कर बैठे हैं कि नहीं, हम स्पेशल हैं और हम असली इस देश के लोग हैं और बाकी सब इस देश के नहीं हैं. तो उनको समझाने के लिए तुम कुछ खास कर नहीं सकते. You,
I
whatever you
mean,
have told them, like you have told them, like I'm
no,
not anti-Hindu, I'm anti-Sarkar, right?
exactly. Yes,
They
yes.
know the
And
difference.
I've convinced her that Modi is not equal to Hinduism.
Yeah, she agreed with you.
Not okay, not
फिर
openly,
convince
but
कैसे
it's
हुई?
like okay, okay. I'll tell you one thing. At times, I have such a feeling that she's a closet Modi supporter. Closet.
Hmm.
I have typed, so maybe I can understand that. What you the point is that okay, I should not move ahead with her. I
Hmm.
understand.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you've broken up.
not yet, but it's just that I don't want to break up, but it's just that I should. I mean to what I mean to say that even if I belong to a Sikh family, right?
Hmm.
I'm not an anti-Hindu. That's the whole point of the conversation. I'm not an anti-Hindu if I oppose a government or if I oppose a BJP, if I oppose Modi. I don't hate Hindus. How can you? It's not logical. It's stupid.
Got it. So मेरा
Yeah,
मेरा मेरा अंडरस्टैंडिंग अभी तक ये है कि मेरा अंडरस्टैंडिंग यही है कि you are on the right side of history. You are going through some personal troubles, and even though I'm not a great advice giver as far as relationships go, I can tell very clearly that whatever message you're trying to send is not a complicated message. किसी को भी बोल दो समझ जाएगा कि एंटी हिंदू और
I'm
एंटी
on the
मोदी
her
में फर्क
side.
है.
She
Hmm.
she 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 wants secular India. I want a secular India.
Yeah.
She does not
She
want to.
told you
Okay,
that she wants a secular India.
yes, but
So
okay. I'll tell you what.
she's not raising her voice because she's comfortable, or she's not raising the voice because she agrees with the anti-minority policies.
Okay, I'll tell you what. She agreed
थोड़ा
with
जल्दी बताना सर,
whatever
क्योंकि
it.
कुछ और लोग
Hanji,
वेट कर रहे हैं,
Hanji.
थोड़ा जल्दी बताना.
Okay, this is my last point.
Yeah.
Whatever happened in the hijab row, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I oppose the government, Karnataka government, whatever they are trying to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he softly supported it. I'm against it.
Okay.
Anyone can wear whatever they want to wear.
Yeah.
I'm just yes.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the whole point of my conversation.
So it is possible that she may be thinking that keeping Muslim women wearing hijabs from entering education institutes is good for them. So because that is also a false narrative that is going around, like, हम जो कर रहे हैं उनके भले के लिए कर रहे हैं. So perhaps you can, like, there have been good conversations about this. I myself have made a live streams on this. There have been debates by there is a debate on the Prince channel by Arfa Khanam Sherwani about this, where they talk to a bunch of women about this. So maybe send her
Yes,
stuff
I've
like that, see if her mind changes. मेरा प्रॉब्लम क्या
yes, I've
पता है,
been through.
जब भी कोई आके अपनी गर्लफ्रेंड या लव इंटरेस्ट के बारे में बात करता है, मैं कोशिश करता हूँ कि मैं उनका साथ ना दूं, और जिसकी बात वो कर रहे हैं मैं उनके साथ दूं, ताकि जब उन दोनों की सुलह हो जाए तो मैं विलन ना बन जाऊं, क्योंकि ये बहुत
No,
होता है.
no. Yes, I've been through that, and very happy to talk to you. And I'll be actually, becoming a member very soon.
Thank you,
So
Harkal.
yeah,
Thank you so much.
it was great talking to you. Take
Thank
care
you.
and
It was
good
great
night.
speaking with you also. Thank you.
Yes, take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Right. So we have Amritpal Sodhi as a new member. Thank you, Amritpal, for joining. I really appreciate it. For anyone else who is not a member and wants to become one, you can do so by by clicking the join button under this video or anywhere on this channel. You get a badge next to your next to your name, like Samarth does, and you get access to a few emojis made from my face that you can use in the chat. And your comments get first priority. So thank you, Amritpal, for doing this. Let me look at a few comments made by Samarth by member so I can highlight him. Santa Claus is the richest fictional character to ever exist. Forbes made a list of fictional 15, and later many kids started sending them handwritten letters to remove his name. Wow, okay. That's not really actually, yeah, it's kind of religious. Yeah, it is. So I guess that sad though. Millen says anti-Muslim sentiment only made them win again. In Uttar Pradesh, I think no. I think the anti-Muslim sentiment actually worked against them because most of the BJP's campaign in Uttar Pradesh, like जितना उम्मीद कर रहे थे communal होगा campaign, उतना नहीं था. The reason they won is because of the ration delivery systems, decisions to deliver ration to people at home and people in need. I think that is why they won. And I think that is actually a good thing. If the lesson the BJP takes away from this is that हमको हिंदू मुस्लिम करने की जरूरत नहीं, हम बस लोगों तक राशन पहुंचा के चुनाव जीत सकते हैं, then that's a great thing. I hope they do. I don't think they will, but I hope they do. Right. So the next person is Charwak. Hi, Charwak.
Hello. Hi.
What's up?
I'm good. I'm doing. How are you?
I'm okay, I guess.
हाँ, तो एक्चुअली मैं यही देख रहा था आजकल मतलब इतना हमारे यहाँ साउथ में एक्चुअली लास्ट वीक जो भी आया था बंदा, he mentioned many points, but in Kerala a dancer wasn't allowed to perform the dance because she came from a Muslim community.
अरे वो तो dishonest था, वो जो जिसका क्लिप बना के डाला था उसकी बात कर रहे हो?
हाँ
He was dishonest. He was just plain dishonest. तो मतलब पूरे देश में घूम घूम के मोहल्ले ढूंढूंगा मैं. अरे सुनो, वहां पे एक मोहल्ला है, उसमें 2 मुसलमान और 1 हिंदू है. तो बस हिंदू माइनॉरिटी होगा और क्या?
No, okay, even if he is making case that's fine, but you would obviously criticize first on the Hindu this thing and then the others, right? Generally speaking, say Hari Sultan जैसे वो करता है वो बाकी लोग वो करते हैं. That's the logic. और मैं इसमें एक और चीज ऐड करता हूँ. रिसेंटली यहाँ साउथ में स्पेशली कर्नाटक में मैंने एक और चीज देखा है. अभी एक नया इशू उठा है हलाल सर्टिफिकेशन का कि भाई ये हलाल खाना नहीं होना चाहिए. वो आई मीन आई डोंट नो, बट मैं ऐसा लगता है कि नेक्स्ट डे आई विल सी सम और द अदर पोलराइजिंग इशू. अगर मैं टीवी खोलूंगा तो नेक्स्ट डे कुछ ना कुछ नया पोलराइजिंग इशू उठाएंगे ये.
The problem is that these issues are not even polarizing. They're just funnily outdated. But they turn them into polarizing issues by doing a little hath, throwing into the air and then shouting and then adding some religion to it. They literally manufacturing issues every day.
Yeah.
और इसके बारे में मैंने थोड़ा टाइम पहले लिखा था कि जब तुम्हारा ओपोनेंट तुम्हारे ऊपर पत्थर फेंक रहा है और तुमने अपने आप को बचाने के लिए एक ढाल पकड़ा हुआ है, वो पत्थर कॉन्स्टेंटली फेंक रहा है, इसलिए तुम ढाल को नीचे नहीं रख सकते. और जब तक तुम ढाल को नीचे नहीं रखोगे तुम वापस कुछ फेंक नहीं पाओगे, क्योंकि जब तुम फेंकोगे तुम रियलाइज करोगे कि तुम्हारा ओपोनेंट का घर कांच का बना हुआ है. उन्हें पता है कि उनका घर कांच का बना हुआ है, इसीलिए वो कॉन्स्टेंटली पत्थर फेंकते रहते हैं ताकि उनके ऊपर पत्थर फेंकने की किसी को फुर्सत भी ना मिले. So every
Yeah.
day we are looking at one new issue is because this is a fake issue manufacturing factory. जब तक
Yeah.
वो लोग कुछ ना कुछ करते रहेंगे, हमारा अटेंशन उस पे बना रहेगा और हम उन
हाँ,
चीजों पर ध्यान नहीं देंगे जिनके ऊपर हमारा ध्यान जाना चाहिए.
जाना
That is the
चाहिए,
problem.
बिल्कुल. राइट नाउ अभी तो मैं देख रहा हूँ कि मेन जो है वो तो इकोनॉमिक इश्यूज है कि देर इज अ कांस्टेंट 10-day कंटिन्यूस राइज इन प्राइसेस, जो पेट्रोल और डीजल हो, एलपीजी का हो, एंड देन यू हैव पीएफ बीइंग रिड्यूस्ड फ्रॉम 8.4 to 8.1% पीएफ. तो लोग इस पे तो मतलब कोई ओपिनियन ही नहीं
हाँ,
दे रहा है.
एग्जैक्टली.
या
अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट और इकोनॉमिक कोलैप्स इतने बड़े इश्यूज हैं जिसका खामियाजा देश को आने वाले डेकेड्स में भरना पड़ेगा, सीरियसली. पर चूंकि वो
या
चाहते हैं कि हम लोग उसके बारे में बात ना करें, हर रोज हिजाब, हर रोज हलाल, हर रोज पता नहीं क्या क्या, हम लोग आपस में
या
लड़ते रहेंगे तो हम इस सरकार के ऊपर क्वेश्चंस नहीं उठा पाएंगे. दैट इज व्हाट
Yeah,
इज
I mean
हैपनिंग.
that's again ridiculously stupid. And मेरे को सबसे ज्यादा जानते ये इतना बुरा लगता है कि जो इनका भी एक ग्रुप बना ले कि भाई देखिए हमारे भी इंटेलेक्चुअल्स है. They also start quoting some intellectuals. देखो भाई इन्होंने कश्मीर पे कहा है, देखिए इन्होंने हिंदुत्व पे कहा. We also have the intellectuals.
उन इंटेलेक्चुअल्स के बारे में जितनी कम बातें की जाए उतना अच्छा है.
हाँ हाँ हाँ.
एक ने कहा था
तो
ना,
मैं
फैक्ट्स आर नॉट फैक्ट्स, वही वाला.
Yeah. So, my main question is, do you really see कि भाई future में we come to a stage where we can actually start talking about economic issue and come out of this mindset? Do you see any scope for that actually future में?
A scope for what exactly?
To come out of this like communal mindset and talk about some of the real issues.
I'll tell you, it probably won't happen anytime soon, but eventually हर चीज में फटीग घुस जाता है, लोग थक जाते हैं कर करके. कौन मतलब आई थिंक मे बी इन अबाउट 10 years, मे बी इन 20 years, ये लोग भी नहीं चाहते ना, ये लोग नहीं चाहते फटीग हो, इसीलिए हर रोज इसको फीड करते रहते हैं, हर रोज इशू बनाते हैं, क्योंकि अगर नहीं बनाएंगे तो लोग थक जाएंगे यार. कौन कितना हिंदू मुस्लिम करेगा? 24 घंटे नेशनल टेलीविजन न्यूज पे अगर तुमको हमेशा हिंदू मुस्लिम दिखता रहेगा ना, अभी जो जनरेशन बड़ी हो रही है दैट विल काइंड ऑफ लैप इट अप, बट इसके बाद वाला जो जनरेशन आएगा वो तंग आ चुका होगा. वो मतलब इट बी लाइक यार कुछ तो मतलब कार्टून दिखाता मुझे प्लीज, मैं कितना देखूंगा ये सब, वही 4 उल्लू के पट्टे, वही 4 बातें हर रोज सुबह से लेकर रात तक, लोग तंग आ जाएंगे. इसीलिए तो इनको जिंदा रखना पड़ रहा है इशू को.
मैं एक्चुअली वेयर डू आई रियली फील बैड? मेरा फील बैड तब होता है कि भाई school children when they start getting involved in these sort of issues,
when they get that's the most sad part.
क्योंकि क्या है कि मैं फेसबुक में देख रहा हूँ, यूपी में एक स्कूल है, तो लड़का भी भगवा गमछा पहन के गया और वो बोला कि मैंने देखा लड़की जो हिजाब पहनी इसलिए मैं भगवा गमछा पहना. एंड द स्कूल अथॉरिटी टोल्ड कि आप ये गमछा रिमूव कर दो. वो लड़का बोलने लगा कि नहीं, आप उनका पहले रिमूव करें, फिर मैं रिमूव कर लूंगा, फिर मेरे को कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. तो दिस इज ए काइंड ऑफ व्हाट यू से, वो होता है ना, एक मैंने किताब पढ़ा, वायरस ऑफ द माइंड, कि लोगों में कैसे वायरस स्प्रेड होता है, वही चल रहा है. मैं मतलब आई वाज शॉक्ड कि भाई मैं जब स्कूल में पढ़ता था, मेरा जो जनरेशन था इट वाज डिफरेंट, बट ये आजकल के जनरेशन ये चीजों में लगे हैं.
मैं पता है, मैं बेस्ट केस सिनेरियो बताऊं, मैं कल परसों सोच रहा था कि मैं जिस जनरेशन में बड़ा हुआ 90s के दौरान, इट वाज वेरी कॉमन टू हियर पीपल कंप्लेन अबाउट कांग्रेस ने देश को खा गई, खराब कर दिया वगैरह वगैरह, एंड दीज वर यंग पीपल व्हेन द कांग्रेस वाज इन पावर, राइट? अभी जो लोग 17-18 साल के हैं, जब तक वो 20 साल 32 साल के बनेंगे ना, वो भाजपा से तंग आ चुके होंगे. इफ भाजपा इज स्टिल देयर, ये लोग तंग आ चुके होंगे और वही सब चीजें बोलेंगे जो हमारे अंकल लोग बोलते थे जब हम लोग बचपन में थे. फटीग आ जाएगा, एट सम पॉइंट फटीग आ जाएगा. वेदर दैट फटीग इज इनफ टू चेंज द पॉलिटिक्स ऑफ द कंट्री इज अ डिफरेंट मैटर, बट ये जो इटर्नल वर्शिप ऑफ वन पावरफुल लीडर फॉरएवर इज नॉट गोइंग टू हैपन.
ये तो है. और मैंने एक और चीज नोटिस किया है कि आजकल,
चारवाक जी, आपका लास्ट पॉइंट है, मेरे पास और 3-4 लोग हैं.
अच्छा, लास्ट पॉइंट, ओके फाइन. तो मेरा लास्ट पॉइंट ये है कि आप लोग जो है यार थोड़ा दिन के लिए स्मार्टफोन यूज मत करो यार, एटलीस्ट स्कूल चिल्ड्रन के लिए मेरा यही है. प्लीज,
I have a friend
please avoid
who was
TV and smartphone, school children के लिए.
I agree. I had a friend who was उसके बेटे को, जब तक उसका बेटा 4 साल का नहीं हुआ, उसने फ़ोन कभी छुआ भी नहीं था, देखा भी नहीं था। मतलब ही रिफ्यूज़्ड कि मतलब अगर मेरे बच्चों को एंटरटेनमेंट चाहिए ना, तो मैं उसके लिए गा लूँगा। मैं ये नहीं करूँगा। मतलब
that is the
उसको
best
उसको
option.
मतलब ये नहीं करूँगा कि बिना फ़ोन को देखे वो खा नहीं रहा है, या बिना फ़ोन को देखे वो सो नहीं पा रहा है, या सिर्फ़ इसलिए कि मैं बोर हो रहा हूँ, मैं अपने बच्चे के साथ खेल नहीं सकता, मैं उसको एक वीडियो बॉल पकड़ा नहीं दूँगा। सो वो
Yeah,
ऐसे उसने किया। It worked fine. The child didn't care. The child used to eat like a normal human being, sleep like a normal human being. और
yeah,
उसी के हम उम्र बच्चे थे जो बगैर फ़ोन के खाना नहीं खाते थे। सो हम लोग बहुत यंग एज से बच्चों को इस सब चीज़ों का यूज़्ड टू कर देते हैं। बट
yeah,
एनीवे, थैंक यू
yeah,
चारुलता जी।
yeah.
आई विल मूव ऑन
Thanks.
टू द नेक्स्ट
Yeah,
पर्सन।
bye. Yeah, bye.
बाय, थैंक यू।
Yeah.
The next person is, hold on. So Samarth is actually pitching the join button a lot. The next person is Mohit. Hi Mohit.
Hello,
Hello.
can you hear me all right?
I can hear you.
So hello Vimo, good evening. कैसे हैं?
गुड इवनिंग, गुड इवनिंग। अच्छा हूँ, आप कैसे हैं?
मैं ठीक हूँ। मैं काफी दिन से कोशिश कर रहा था कि लाइव स्ट्रीम पर ऑनलाइन आऊंगा, लेकिन थोड़ा आई फील कि मैं थोड़ा इंट्रोवर्ट हूँ या फिर शाई हूँ कन्वर्सेशंस में। दैट इज व्हाई आई
अरे डोंट वरी,
सॉर्ट ऑफ यूज्ड
मैं भी इंट्रोवर्ट हूँ।
ये बात मैंने आपसे पहले भी बोली थी एक बार वैसे लाइव चैट पे। फिलहाल कुछ
अच्छा।
काफी चीजें मेरे पास डिस्कस करने के लिए। एक चीज
हाँ।
जो जस्ट दिस इज जस्ट अ बेसिक थ्योरी दैट आई फील कि हाँ ये चीज लाइफ के बारे में सही है। आई एम गोना प्रपोज हियर एंड यू टेल मी इफ यू लाइक अग्री विद इट और।
ओके।
तो बेसिकली ह्यूमन एवोल्यूशन के थ्रू आउट हम लोग जिस चीज पे फोकस कर रहे हैं एज ह्यूमन बीइंग्स इज कि हमारा सर्वाइवल बेटर एंड बेटर कंडीशंस में होता रहे। ठीक है, तो
और एक बार
उसी की
बोलना,
चीज
और एक
को
बार बोलना, और एक बार
मतलब
बोलना।
हमारा सर्वाइवल अच्छे से अच्छे कंडीशन, सर्वाइवल के लिए बेस्ट फिटिंग कंडीशंस हम लोग बनाने की कोशिश करते हैं हर जगह।
ओके, बट दैट हैज नथिंग टू डू विद
So,
एवोल्यूशन।
तो हम लोग एवोल्यूशन के थ्रू मतलब थ्रू आउट एवोल्यूशन हम लोग सिर्फ सर्वाइव करने की कोशिश ही तो कर रहे हैं। लाइक हम सोसाइटीज बना रहे हैं ताकि हमारा सर्वाइवल थोड़ा और बेटर तरीके से हो पाए। रिलीजन्स हमने बनाए बिकॉज हमारे सर्वाइवल में ज्यादा
अच्छा,
हेल्पफुल
आप
है
अपना
ये
पॉइंट
चीजें।
कंप्लीट कर लें, अब अपना पॉइंट कंप्लीट कर लें, फिर मैं बताता हूँ।
ठीक है, और ऐसे ही मुझे लगता है साइंस की तरफ भी हम लोग इसीलिए आगे बढ़े बिकॉज दीज थिंग्स सॉर्ट ऑफ हेल्प अस इन आवर सर्वाइवल थिंग्स। इज दैट नॉट?
नहीं, I think that's partially correct. First of all, evolution by natural selection happens in ways that have to do with the environment. For example, अगर आप और मैं इस समय एक ऐसे ग्रह पर रहते हैं जहाँ पे टेम्परेचर जितना है उतना है, और टेम्परेचर अचानक ड्रॉप कर जाता है, राइट? सो आप में
राइट।
और मैं और हमारे स्पीशीज में जितने लोग हैं, जो ज़्यादा बाल वाले लोग होंगे, अगर हमारे पास इलेक्ट्रिसिटी वगैरह कुछ नहीं होती, तो जो लोग उस सर्दी को झेल पाएंगे वो जिंदा रहेंगे, और उनके जीन्स आने वाले जनरेशन्स को मिलेंगे, और फिर वो भी वैसे ही हेयरी होके पैदा होंगे। ठीक है? सो
राइट।
एनवायरनमेंट के ऊपर हमारा फुल कंट्रोल नहीं है। एनवायरनमेंट के
ओके।
ऊपर हमारा फुल कंट्रोल नहीं है, इसीलिए हम एवोल्यूशन को कंप्लीटली ह्यूमन कंट्रोल में नहीं कह सकते। दूसरी
अच्छा,
बात यह
इससे
है,
रिलेटेड आपके चैनल पर एक कन्वर्सेशन चल रहा था, उसमें एक काफी अच्छा पॉइंट निकाला था। उसमें डार्विन का जो मॉडल है नेचुरल सिलेक्शन का, उसकी जगह आप लोगों ने प्रपोज किया था कि नेचुरल एलिमिनेशन इज रादर मोर फेवरेबल देयर।
या दैट्स ट्रू। और ये वही था जो मैंने अभी कहा कि
हाँ,
नेचर
यस
के
यस।
ऊपर हमारा कंप्लीट कंट्रोल नहीं है, इसलिए हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि हम अपने सर्वाइवल को लेके जितने भी कंडीशंस हैं उनको हम चूज कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि हम सारे कंडीशंस को चूज नहीं कर रहे हैं। कोशिश करते हैं कभी कभी, पर सारे कंडीशंस को हम चूज नहीं कर रहे हैं। दूसरी बात
सो
यह है
बेसिक
कि
ओके।
हमारे पास जो जो चीज़ें हैं, नॉट ऑल ऑफ देम आर जेनेटिक इन नेचर, सम ऑफ देम आर एपिजेनेटिक। फॉर एग्जाम्पल आर्ट एंड लिटरेचर, राइट? अभी अगर कोई व्यक्ति कहे कि मुझे जिंदा रहने के लिए क्या चाहिए, तो शायद आर्ट और लिटरेचर उसमें नहीं आएगा, है ना? अगर हम
अग्रीड।
लोग सब
राइट।
जंगल में हैं और एक आदमी के पास बहुत फिजिकल ताकत है, द चांसेस ऑफ हिम सर्वाइविंग आर हायर देन द चांसेस ऑफ द पोएट और द फिलोसोफर सर्वाइविंग। पर चूंकि हम
राइट।
सोसाइटी में रहते हैं, आर्ट और सोसाइटी हमें रुतबा देता है, सोसाइटी में स्टेटस देता है, और स्टेटस के साथ आता है पैसा, सेफ्टी, सिक्योरिटी, फूड, शेल्टर वगैरह, राइट? सो
राइट।
आर्ट एंड शेल्टर का इवोल्यूशन इसलिए नहीं हुआ था ताकि हम जिंदा रह सकें, पर आर्ट और फिलॉसफी की वजह से कई लोग जिंदा रहने लायक बन जाते हैं। अगर वो फिजिकली अट्रैक्टिव नहीं भी होते हैं तो उनके मेटिंग के चांसेस बढ़ जाते हैं, उनके ऑफस्प्रिंग प्रोड्यूस करने के चांसेस बढ़ जाते हैं। So sometimes the reasons are not epigenetic, are not genetic, they're epigenetic. They form spontaneously outside the human body. सोसाइटी के फॉर्मेशन के ऊपर हमारे जीन्स का कोई कंट्रोल नहीं है, पर सोसाइटी में जो चीज़ें होती हैं उनका इनडायरेक्ट एफर्ट हमारे एवोल्यूशनरी ग्रोथ पर पड़ता है।
Okay, so now does it not come like this कि पूरी की पूरी जो सोसाइटी मतलब सॉरी पूरी ह्यूमन जीनस है जो जो होमो सेपियंस है वो एज अ होल बेटर सरवाइव कर पा रहे हैं बिकॉज ऑफ ऑल दिस,
बिकॉज ऑफ व्हाट?
बिकॉज ऑफ नॉट जस्ट जेनेटिक बट एपिजेनेटिक सर्कमस्टेंसेस जो हम लोग क्रिएट कर रहे हैं अपने सराउंडिंग्स में, जो सोसाइटीज बना रहे हैं, कॉर्पोरेशंस बिल्ड कर रहे हैं, या फिर
कॉर्पोरेशंस की वजह से तो नुकसान हो रहा है भाई। मेरा ये मानना है कि हमको कॉर्पोरेशंस और कैपिटलिज्म की वजह से हमारे एनवायरनमेंट को जितना नुकसान हुआ उतना नुकसान तो प्रागैतिहासिक काल में बैक्टीरिया ने भी नहीं किया था। इंसान
ये चीज
इंसान इस समय एनवायरनमेंट को जितना नुकसान पहुंचा रहे हैं उसका एक बहुत बड़ा हिस्सा ग्रीड है। जो चीजें हम लोग अपने आप को कंफर्टेबल करने के लिए कर रहे हैं ये मान के कि हमारी सर्वाइवेबिलिटी को बढ़ाता है, वही चीजें प्लैनेट को इस हद तक डैमेज कर रही हैं कि सिर्फ हम ही नहीं दूसरे ऑर्गेनिजम्स भी एक्सटिंक्ट होने की कगार पर आ चुके हैं। सो दैट्स नॉट एग्जैक्टली 100% आई वुड से एक्यूरेट।
बट isn't that a consequence of cooperation and everything, not just मतलब immediately तो हमने सर्वाइवल के लिए, बेटर सर्वाइवल के लिए ये चीजों को चुना ना। जैसे सपोज कॉर्पोरेशन है या फिर एक कंपनी है जो सपोज ठीक है पॉल्यूशन बढ़ाती, जैसे बहुत अच्छा एग्जांपल प्लास्टिक का है। इन लॉन्गर टर्म्स वी कैन अग्री कि हाँ प्लास्टिक पॉल्यूशन बढ़ाता है, लेकिन शॉर्ट टर्म में हम लोगों को बेटर लाइफ प्रोवाइड कराने में प्लास्टिक का बहुत बड़ा हाथ है, राइट?
देखो मैं ऐसे पूछूंगा, क्लाइमेट चेंज हो रहा है, ठीक है, और क्लाइमेट चेंज के पीछे कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एमिशंस का रोल है, और साइंटिस्ट ने हमें बताया कि कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एमिशंस, कोल बर्निंग वगैरह वगैरह से इससे हमको हमारी स्पीशीज पर, हमारे इस ग्रह पर हमारा जो फ्यूचर है उस पर बहुत बुरा प्रभाव पड़ता है। हमने क्या किया? हमने रोक दिया? नहीं रोका,
राइट।
बावजूद इसके कि हमको पता है दिस इज गोइंग टू किल अस ऑल। हमने क्यों नहीं रोका? हमने इसलिए नहीं रोका क्योंकि हमारा शॉर्ट टर्म गोल है ग्रीड, पैसे बनाना, कंफर्ट में रहना। सर्वाइवल हमारा गोल नहीं है।
ओके ठीक, चलो ऑन दिस सेम नोट कि हमने बेटर सर्वाइविंग कंडीशंस की बजाय हमने अपने हम ज्यादा कंफर्टेबल सिचुएशंस में रहे, इस चीज को हमने प्रायोरिटी माना, ठीक है। अब ये चीज अभी हम अपनी सोसाइटी में भी डिस्काउंट कर रहे हैं, राइट? लाइक पहले जो होमो सेपियंस हुआ करते थे उनके पास सारी स्किल्स होना जरूरी थी सर्वाइवल के लिए, जैसे कि उनको हंटिंग भी आनी चाहिए थी, उनको कम्युनिकेशन भी अच्छा आना चाहिए था, अपनी सोसाइटी में बाकी लोगों के साथ घुल मिलकर रहना उनके बेटर सर्वाइवल को इंश्योर करता था, राइट? उनके पास सारी स्किल्स होनी चाहिए थी, तभी उनका सर्वाइवल बेटर इंश्योर हो सकता था। आज के टाइम पे हम क्या करते हैं, हमने अपनी सोसाइटी को इस तरीके से डिजाइन किया और डेली इस चीज पे ज्यादा गौर करते हैं कि एक इंसान कम से कम चीजें सीखकर भी सर्वाइवल इंश्योर कर सके अपना, वो उसके बाद भी सोसाइटी में रह सकता है, कंफर्टेबली अपना खाना जुटा सकता है, मेटिंग जुटा सकता है, चाहे उसको 4 चीजें नहीं आती, उसके पास 4 सर्वाइवल स्किल्स नहीं है उसके बाद भी, राइट? हमने इस चीज को अपनी सोसाइटी में अब डिस्काउंट कर लिया है कि अगर इंसान के पास सारी चीजें अवेलेबल नहीं है, उसके पास ज्यादा मतलब अगर वो इग्नोरेंट होकर भी रह रहा है, अगर वो अपने एक्शन के कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस को भी अगर तुरंत की तुरंत नहीं समझ रहा है या फिर उनको नहीं सोच रहा है 10 बार, उसके बाद भी वो सोसाइटी में रह सकता है, सोसाइटी में अपने लिए सारी चीजें अवेल करा सकता है जो सर्वाइवल के लिए नेसेसरी है।
गॉट इट,
है ना? अब ये चीज हम लोगों को किस तरीके से बैकफायर करती है करंट सोसाइटीज में, जैसे कि अब हम लोग एक इन्फॉर्म्ड सोसाइटी बनाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, बट देयर आर पीपल हु आर अनएजुकेटेड एंड दे कैन अफोर्ड देयर सर्वाइवल एंड they can be ignorant about so many stuff like अब रिलीजन से रिलेटेड जितना भी वायलेंस है,
देखो मेरा पॉइंट ये है कि तुमने अभी थोड़ी देर पहले जो कहा ना कि कोई व्यक्ति कुछ ज्यादा कुछ ना जान के भी काफी हद तक जिंदा रह सकता है, उसका बहुत बड़ा एग्जांपल एक्चुअली कैपिटलिस्ट हैं, क्योंकि जिस स्किल और जिस टैलेंट और जिस हार्ड वर्क और जिस टाइम का इस्तेमाल करके उनकी कंपनियां चलती हैं वो उनका खुद का नहीं होता है, और बावजूद इसके उस कंपनी से जो पैसा बनता है उसका बहुत बड़ा हिस्सा सिर्फ उन्हीं के पास जाता है। वी कीप टॉकिंग राइट, मोस्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड्स वेल्थ इज इन द हैंड्स ऑफ द फ्यू पीपल, सो ये एक
Right.
बहुत तुम मतलब आई एम नॉट श्योर इफ दैट वाज द गोल ऑफ योर एग्जांपल, बट आई थिंक दिस इज अ बैड आइडिया, बिकॉज श्योर वो एक आदमी या वो 7-8 लोग ढंग से रह रहे हैं, बहुत अच्छी तरह से रह रहे हैं, पर ऐसे कई लोग हैं जो जिनको जिंदा रहने के लिए उतनी मेहनत नहीं करनी पड़नी चाहिए। ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि कोई व्यक्ति 4 नौकरियां करे सिर्फ अपने बच्चों को स्कूल भेजने के लिए, और उन 4 नौकरियों की वजह से उसकी हेल्थ का कबाड़ हो जाए। सो दिस इज अ सिस्टम दैट इज हैपनिंग इन द वर्ल्ड राइट नाउ, बट आई डोंट थिंक इट्स अ हेल्दी सिस्टम।
So basically, I do agree with you on some grounds, and I think this is an even longer debate. अगर इस चीज में घुस जाते हैं कि
Yeah, I think
कुछ
it's a
लोगों
longer
को ज्यादा
conversation.
काम करना है, हाँ कि
If you
कुछ
want
लोगों को
to,
ज्यादा
if
काम
you
करना
want to,
पड़ता है, because yes,
if you want to, what you can do is that I will make a community tab post, and you can leave the details of your thoughts in the comments to it. And I will try to find an expert who can come and talk about communism, capitalism, socialism, etc. Maybe
and
that will make things more clear.
जस्ट टू हाईलाइट वन थिंग हियर कि
Hmm.
इस चीज को अगर देखा जाए तो कितना बैकडेटेड है ये वाली सेम प्रॉब्लम हमारी सोसाइटी में, कि जिस टाइम पे एग्रीकल्चरल रेवोल्यूशन हुआ उस टाइम पे भी काम करने वाले लोग सिर्फ वही एग्रीकल्चरिस्ट थे, जो फार्मर्स थे वही थे। कि मोस्ट ऑफ द थिंग जो हम जिस चीज पे हमारी सोसाइटी बिल्ड हो रही थी कि सिर्फ 10 लोग मिलके 1000 लोगों का खाना उगा सकते हैं।
तब
ठीक
तब
है,
तो पूरी ट्राइब में कुल मिला के लगभग 500 लोग थे। आज के जो
हाँ
शहर
तो
हैं, जो
उसमें
ट्राइब्स
से
हैं,
भी
देर मच
जो
लार्जर।
राइट, उसमें से
या
भी धीमे धीमे हम लोगों ने करना, तो हमारा बेसिस तो वही था कि सिर्फ 10 लोग मिलके 1000 लोगों को खाना उगा पाए, तब हम आगे सोसाइटी को अपने और ज्यादा अच्छे
यस,
जगहों
यस।
पर ले जा पाएंगे। राइट, तो वहां पर कुछ ना कुछ 10 लोगों को ही दबाया जाना था, उन 10 ही लोगों को ज्यादा मेहनत करनी थी, उसके बेसिस पर ही हमारी सोसाइटी का ही प्रोग्रेस करी। तो ये प्रॉब्लम तो
नहीं,
बहुत ज्यादा
क्योंकि खाने का जुगाड़ करना एकमात्र नीड नहीं होता सोसाइटी का। सोसाइटी में दूसरे नीड्स भी होती हैं, जैसे एंटरटेनमेंट, जैसे
राइट।
ट्रैवल, जैसे मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ऑफ गुड्स, जो लोहार
अग्री।
होता है वगैरह, और बिल्डिंग हाउसेस। डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ लेबर इज अ थिंग दैट हैपेंड, एंड आई थिंक हम लोग इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन के बाद एक ऐसी स्टेज में पहुंच गए जहां डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ लेबर के बावजूद कुछ लोगों को बहुत ज़्यादा लेबर करना पड़ा और कुछ लोगों को कम लेबर करना पड़ा। तुमको एक्चुअली काफ़ी चीज़ें इस चीज़ पर डिपेंड करती हैं कि लेबर किन कैटेगरीज में डिवाइड किया जा रहा है। अगर एक कैटेगरी सिर्फ एक ऐसे आदमी की है जो बैठकर खाए, तो दैट्स नॉट अ गुड डिविजन ऑफ लेबर, राइट?
राइट, अच्छा,
सो
जस्ट
हम
इसी से
मॉडर्न टाइम्स में
रिलेटेड
हमने एक ऐसी कैटेगरी बना दी है जिसमें कुछ लोग
हाँ
हैं
जहाँ पर
जो कुछ करते धरते नहीं है, जो बस दूसरों का
बस
बनाया हुआ
डिपेंडेंट
खाते
है,
हैं। या
और उसके बाद भी बाकी लोगों पे रूल कर सकते हैं या फिर खुद को
Exactly,
दूसरों से ऊपर कर
exactly.
सकते हैं।
Because of social, political classifications and all that. But Mohit,
ये
your last point. Your last point.
ओके, सो लास्ट पॉइंट इसी से रिलेटेड मैं बस डिस्कस करना चाहता हूँ एथियज्म के बारे में। अब
Okay.
वी ऑल बीइंग एथियस्ट हियर, मैं भी अपने आप को एथियस्ट मानता था जब से तुम आपके लाइव स्ट्रीम्स वगैरह देखना स्टार्ट किए, तब से आई डू अग्री कि हाँ एग्नोस्टिक वर्ड मुझे अपने आप मतलब मुझे खुद को ओपन रखना चाहिए एग्नोस्टिज्म के लिए, कि ठीक है अगर और पॉसिबिलिटीज हैं तो मुझे उन सब
Hmm.
चीजों के बारे में एक बार सोचना चाहिए, उनको भी
मैं
डिस्काउंट
एग्नोस्टिक
नहीं
नहीं
कर
कहता
देना।
अपने आप को, मैं अपने आप को एग्नोस्टिक एथीस्ट कहता हूँ। मैं एथीस्ट ही हूँ।
यस,
हम्म।
एथिस्ट तो हूं ही, मतलब साथ में जब एग्नोस्टिक वर्ड आपके थ्रू सुना मुझे तब
फिलोसॉफिकल
जानना पड़ा।
पोजीशन की वजह से एग्नोस्टिक एथीस्ट कहोगे, ठीक है, कूल।
यस, सो अब ये चीज तो हम लोगों ने अब तक कर ली, इस चीज को तो हम लोगों ने अभी तक कंक्लूड कर लिया कि जितने भी जनरली एथियस्ट होते हैं, नॉट एवरीवन बट मोस्टली, दे कम फ्रॉम अ पोजीशन वेयर दे हैव डन गुड रिसर्च अबाउट एवरीथिंग अबाउट देयर सराउंडिंग इन
या
रिलीजन, नॉट जस्ट देयर ओन बट जिन और भी रिलीजन्स के बारे में अच्छी खासी रिसर्च करी होती है। नाउ अब हम लोग चाहते हैं कि और लोग भी ये रैशनल साइड देखें और रिलीजन से निकलकर बाहर आए इस साइड, ठीक है, बट वी आर लिविंग इन अ सोसाइटी वेयर पीपल आर रिवॉर्डेड फॉर बीइंग इग्नोरेंट।
या दैट्स ट्रू।
सो दिस इज लाइक मुझे ये चीज ऐसी लगती है कि इन लोगों को रैशनलिज्म की तरफ लाना इज लाइक यहाँ पे गीता का एक कोट सबसे ज्यादा मुझे सही लगता है, ऑल्दो आई एम एन एथियस्ट बट मैंने गीता पढ़ रखी है और उसमें ये चीज कहते हैं कृष्ण जी उस अर्जुन से कि rather than pursuing everybody and telling them कि this is right and this is right, हर एक को persuade करने की बजाय सिर्फ अपने काम पे ध्यान दो, ignorance को छोड़ दो, और जो लोग ज्ञान ढूंढ रहे हैं, जो who are the seekers, just उनकी मदद करो. Like ये पूरा
Well,
श्लोक है,
yeah.
I can't like
So
tell you
on
exactly
I
what.
got it. I got what your point is. I would disagree a little bit because जैसा कि तुमने कहा, हम एक ऐसी सोसाइटी में रहते हैं जहाँ people are rewarded for being ignorant. If you keep focusing on the people who are being rewarded on the ignorant, you lose focus on the people who are doing the rewarding. Because ये जो सिस्टम है, ये सिस्टम किसको बेनिफिट करता है? अगर मैं इग्नोरेंट हूँ और कोई मुझे रिवॉर्ड कर रहा है, तो उससे मुझे फ़ायदा तो नहीं हो रहा, क्योंकि मैं तो एट द एंड ऑफ द डे इग्नोरेंट ही हूँ. मुझे रिवॉर्ड कर कौन रहा है? और जो कर रहा है, वो किस सिस्टम को मेंटेन करने की कोशिश कर रहा है? मुझे रिलीजन से बहुत सारी प्रॉब्लम्स है, और कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स मतलब बहुत ही ज़्यादा वाहियात चीज़ों को लेके हैं. पर कई बार ऐसा होता है कि रिलीजन्स हमारा फोकस सिस्टम्स पर से हटा के इंडिविजुअल पर डाल देती है, और वो एक बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है, क्योंकि जब तक तुम मुझे और मैं तुम्हें सुधारने की कोशिश करते रहेंगे ना, तब तक 4 सेठ मोटे हो जाएंगे,
सही.
और उनका इंटरेस्ट है तुम्हें या मुझे इग्नोरेंट बनाए रखने में. क्योंकि अगर हम समझदार हो गए, अगर हम आपस में जुड़ गए, तो हम उनकी शक्ति को चैलेंज दे देंगे, और वो ये नहीं चाहते. इसीलिए दे इन्वेस्ट इन सिस्टम्स दैट कीप अस ignorant, एंड वन ऑफ दोज सिस्टम्स ऑब्वियसली इज रिलीजन, बट देर आर अदर सिस्टम्स टू. सो ये जो इंडिविजुअल्स को सुधारो वाली आर्ग्यूमेंट है ना, ये हसल कल्चर जो हम देखने के आता है कई बार, कि मेहनत करो, कुछ भी हो सकता है. हजारों लोग मेहनत कर रहे हैं भाई, सैकड़ों सालों से, उनका कुछ नहीं हुआ. उनके पेरेंट्स भी गरीब थे, वो भी गरीब हैं. कौन सा वो सिस्टम है जो वो उनको गरीब और असहाय रख रहा है? उस सिस्टम पर हमला करो. आई थिंक हमारा फोकस इंडिविजुअल से हटके सिस्टम्स पर जाना चाहिए. जब तक वो नहीं होगा ना, कोई भी रिलीजियस ज्ञान काम नहीं आएगा.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, fine.
So
For tonight, I think this is it from my side.
thank you, Mohit. That was a
Baki,
yeah, this was a very interesting conversation. Thank you. Do come again. Thank you.
good night.
गुड नाइट. सो अभी मेरे पास चैट में है कौशल और अनहद. इसके बाद कोई और ज्वाइन मत करो, क्योंकि उसके इन दोनों से बात करने के बाद मैं एंड कर दूंगा. लेट मी जस्ट चेक इफ अच्छा लोगों के आपस में बीच में बातचीत हो रही है. सारे कमेंट्स तो पढ़ नहीं सकता अभी, बहुत सारे हो गए हैं, बट विल सी. कौशल, गो ऑन.
Hi, so I'll be here for a short time only.
ओके.
The first thing somebody in the comments was asking for the Discord server links, and we can't share
Acha.
it because links are banned.
सॉरी.
Because we can't post links, right? It gets picked by the spam detector.
So what I will do is that I will, अभी तो मैं उस पोर्ट का लिंक हटा के invite people, copy. So after this live stream ends, you know that चैनल का मेन पेज के टॉप राइट कॉर्नर में एक लिंक आता है जहाँ सपोर्ट द चैनल लिखा हुआ है. I will
Yeah.
replace that with the Discord channel link. So anyone who wants can go there and click on it and join the Discord server. Cool?
Yeah. And
Cool.
the reason I joined was because one earlier person said, when are we going to stop talking about communalism and start focusing on the real issues? I just wanted to point out that this is a statement of privilege because
Yeah.
communalism is a very real issue for
It's a
people who
very real
face it.
issue. And it is, in fact, at the root of many other real issues also. Because if you want to talk about economic disenfranchisement, communalism is at the root of it. Because people right now are talking about not buying from Muslims or not allowing Muslims to do business, or only buying sattvic food. So that's communalism at the root of other issues which have to do with economy itself. So communalism is very much a real issue. And
Yeah.
as you pointed out, it is a function of privilege to say that communalism should not be talked about.
Yeah. Just two more points. One
Yeah.
was about you are inviting people, right? So some live chats ago I had mentioned this thing called Janta Ka Faisla. Try and see
Okay.
if you can get any of their organizers. So
Who are these
Krishna
people? Remind me.
Krishna Uday Shankar is involved with it, and I know that you know
Okay.
her
Okay.
somewhat.
I
So
know.
you can
She's a science fiction writer.
not science fiction, like mythology and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Science fiction, fantasy, एक ही category है.
Yeah.
I know her.
So,
I have her number. I'll contact her. But
so-
what is this thing again?
Janta Ka Faisla. So they did it last year in Chhattisgarh.
Okay.
So do you remember the photos of all those migrant workers walking back to their states? They
Okay.
tracked down the migrant workers in Chhattisgarh, formed a jury out of them, like a representative sample, and then had economists and different political parties of either side come and put proposals and ideas in front of them. Then the jury passed a judgment on what they think will improve the migrant workers' conditions, like what they expect from the government. And that
Okay.
proposal was given to the chief minister,
Of which state?
Chhattisgarh.
Okay.
So that right now I think it's Congress chief minister. I don't know
Yeah,
if
yeah.
like they are following up whether it happens or not, but like this all happened within the last 1 year. So you can check
Okay.
it up because the reason I'm
If you
bringing
have a link, you can send it to me.
I'll send it to you on Insta or
Yeah, please
Discord.
send it to me on Instagram, and I probably
Yeah.
need a way for I'll create an email address or something. But yeah, Insta will do. Send me a
So
link and I'll take a look at it.
the reason I'm saying this is because people are usually condescending about how, lower class or lower caste people don't know
Yeah.
what's good for them. But
Yeah.
if you read the jury's verdict, you
Yeah.
will find out it's very sensible.
Yeah. In fact, that is one
And
of the problems with all kinds of upper class, upper caste, savior mentality liberals who
yeah,
think that, अरे हमको इनके लिए कुछ करना चाहिए, and then they try to become the heroes of the story. And you can't be
yeah,
a hero if you want to help someone. Ask them what they need, and they will tell
yeah.
you because their life is being affected. They can tell you better what they need.
Yeah, I mean that the same thing in the hijab controversy again. We know what's
Yeah,
better for
exactly.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
Last point, but not really a point. So regarding that research funding in India, it is very limited and it's really bad for PhD scholars and people who depend on this government funds because they
Okay.
have to literally wait years to get their monthly stipend. So you
Okay.
can't really survive unless you have some extra source of income. So
Okay.
I'll try and find out.
What I
some
wanted,
data.
what I wanted to know is whether this is a new thing or has it always been like this?
It has not always been like this because, like, when I started out my undergraduate, we used to receive funds on time. This
Mhm.
has started around 2017, 2018 more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone? Okay. When you message me on Instagram, also tell me people who I can talk to about this.
Yeah, I'll find out
Maybe we
somebody
can
who
have
is
them on
willing
the
to
show
talk.
and
Yeah.
we'll see what
I'll
happens.
have to see if anybody's willing to talk about it in a public forum.
Okay. No, they like, if there are scholars who have spoken about this in public, etc., then maybe
Yeah.
that will help. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Kaushal.
Yeah. Right.
Bye. Good
Right.
night. Now we come to Anhad, our last caller. Hi, Anhad.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Yeah. So basically, my question was on evolution. So
Mhm.
if I say now
I'm not a
that
scientist though.
hello.
I'm not a scientist though.
Yeah, definitely. I know that it's a basic philosophy
Okay.
and like a combination of those subjects.
Okay.
So my question was like, you will agree with me, like it is safe to say that now what a human being is a sum total of the systems that were brought into place for basic survival and reproduction, right? For our species.
Among other things.
Yeah, among other things.
Hmm.
So my basic question was, how does a thought or how does a thing like suicide take place in the human brain where it contradicts each and every aspect on which the human brain was built on, which is evolution and reproduction? How does something like why does nature allow something like that? That was my question.
Okay. So first of all, मैं suicide के ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा बात नहीं करना चाहूँगा because it is a triggering topic for a lot of the people.
Okay.
But secondly, if I can make a general answer about this, it is that we often assume that whatever we are today is perfect,
Hmm.
right? We're not. We have an
Yeah.
appendix that is, I don't know why it is there. We have several things in our physiology which we can do without.
Hmm.
And it is conceivable that we will be rid of these things as time goes on. But the problem is that we sometimes think, okay, this is clearly counterintuitive. Why does this exist? And the reason we ask this is because we think that we are so perfect that no flaws should exist. And this
Okay.
kind of has its roots in the idea that human beings are nature ki parakashtha, which is not true. We are fundamentally fucked in many ways.
Yeah, yeah.
This would appear to be one of those things. There is no evolutionary use for it, but as far as I can tell, maybe there is, like suicide is something about which I'm not, again, not a psychologist, not a psychiatrist. If anyone is struggling with these issues, I would recommend that you go to icallhelpline.org and speak with them. But people decide to end their lives for many reasons. A soldier who knows that he's going to die in a situation and still goes there, would we call that suicide? Perhaps not.
Yeah.
A smoker who knows that smoking can kill him and still smokes, would we call that suicide? Perhaps no. Right? Because I don't think that, like, suicide is a very decidedly one thing. People talk about it,
Yeah.
it is a thing. But if you want to talk about the evolutionary origins of the human need to sometimes end the individual life willfully, I don't know if there are clear definitions available. And of course, there's the
Okay.
first thing that I mentioned, which is we are not perfect.
So you gave me examples like the appendix and stuff. Like these are not direct threats to human life, but something like suicide beats the whole purpose. Like for the only thing we have like the evolution has taken place is for us to survive and us to reproduce as a species. But something like suicide is so vehemently against that whole evolutionary process. I wonder, why is it even allowed in the brain? Like why doesn't nature does
Again,
like
you're kind of assigning some authority to nature. You're kind of saying nature is in a position to allow or disallow things. Nature is blind, metaphorically speaking.
yeah
Right? Evolution is a blind process. It did not create us to survive individually. It has only one goal, and that goal is that you should have mated with someone before you die. Right?
okay
If suicide is not necessarily something that gets in the way of that, then there is no reason for evolution to do away with it. Simple.
So
Like
and
somebody, I'll just point out something. Somebody pointed out on Instagram that they were talking to their therapist, and the therapist said, "We did not evolve to be happy. We
Okay.
evolved. We evolved
Interesting.
to survive."
But why so? We did not evolve to be happy. That statement is really powerful. Like
Yeah. I mean, the point is not that evolution constantly tries to make us unhappy. The point is that evolution does not give a flying fuck about whether we are happy or not.
yeah,
Yeah.
interest. So you're pointing out that suicide is left to a niche of people, and nature looks at like the collectivistic species in whole.
No, I'm saying nature does not care about suicide.
Hmm.
It is a thing that exists, and there may be many reasons for it about which I'm not qualified to comment. But evolutionarily, nature does not care. If some
Okay.
people have the tendency to, die by suicide, then that is the way it is. Nature does not care.
Okay, I get it. So my next question was based on atheism, and as like I've heard about you speaking about like atheism and stuff on your channel, I wonder what is your take on state enforced atheism, like in societies, for example, in China. What kind of society does that create? Like when the state itself is enforcing in atheism on its citizens.
So there's a difference between atheism as a position that people would reach because they lack belief in God,
Yeah,
and the government deciding to make people not believe in God.
yeah,
The
yeah.
latter is obviously wrong, because an atheist, if you speak to any modern atheist who believes in something like secular humanism, they would tell you that they believe in an equal world with no discrimination. And that purpose is kind of defeated when a government says that you cannot have any religion.
Yeah.
And in fact, it may even inspire people to go double down on religion. So I don't think it is useful. I don't think it's useful, and it's obviously it's positively bad.
Yeah,
State-sponsored atheism is bad, just as state-sponsored religion is bad.
yeah, because as an
The
atheist,
state, by the way, the state can educate people. The
yeah,
state can
yeah,
tell people, Here's what the facts are. If you learn the facts and then you come to the conclusion that you do not believe in God, great. But the state
Yeah,
should not force you to think a certain way. That is the
correct,
problem.
correct.
Whether it
So
is religious way or non-religious ways.
yeah, like a lot of I see a lot of left-leaning people give this like logic to the right wingers that see China has no religion, so China is like such a developing economy, such a high GDP, so
Hmm.
India should also not care about religion. But I strongly disagree that religion cannot always be like religion is not at all uh, a bondage or like a hindrance to economic development. Like, what do you think on this?
I agree with you. I don't think religion is a hindrance to economic development. It
Hmm.
is a hindrance to free individual thought, which often adds up to a free society.
Okay.
Like if in a society, like religion is a certain way of thinking. If you impose that way of thinking on people, then people do not get to think about other ways of thinking.
Yeah,
When
correct.
people's minds are allowed to wander free and experiment and explore, they come up with brilliant scientific solutions and the brilliant art and brilliant
Exactly.
everything.
Yeah.
But
Exactly what
yeah,
exactly what Jiddu Krishnamurti says in almost all of his lectures. A free
यार
mind.
मुझे कृष्णमूर्ति समझ में नहीं आता.
नहीं.
I don't
Okay.
understand. He says that thought is the problem. I don't understand that also.
No, he basically says that thought in itself is an incomplete system. So you cannot
Hmm.
rely on thought always. You have
हाँ,
to
so the
go
problem there
beyond
is
it.
that the problem there is insistence on complete systems, which is foolish in my opinion. No system is going to be complete.
But he's not pointing to a complete system. He just says that thought is itself incomplete. So go beyond it after using it.
So go beyond it where?
Like just stop using it at a point. It
And do what? I have a brain. My brain has thoughts. You ask me to not think. What do I do instead?
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
It is not enough to say that this thing is. I have a car. I'm going somewhere, and you're sitting in the car with me and saying, "This car is shit. This car is shit. This car is shit." What
Hmm.
do I do if I get out of the car? What do I do?
It is something. What he talks about is something super physiological, which I think we are not in a position to talk about unless we evolve to that level. But things are left to him.
Yeah. So my problem perhaps is that I am not Krishnamurti.
Yeah. Correct. Very
No one
rightly
except
put.
Krishnamurti is Krishnamurti.
Yeah.
So I
Thank
will
you
do
so
the
much.
best
It
I
was
can
nice
with what I
talking
have.
to you.
Thank you, Anand. Thank you for
Yeah.
calling.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Bye.
Good night, or rather, good morning, because it's 12:07 now. दिन बदल गया रे. आज क्या है? आज संडे है. संडे. सुबह 9 बजे अलादीन आएगा. नहीं, मैं अपने बचपन की बात कर रहा हूँ. कुछ नहीं आएगा सुबह 9 बजे. 2 घंटे 7 मिनट हो गए हैं. Let me just read some comments before I end it. नंदिता says Klaus, the ad thing is oh, ये तो कमेंट के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. Anyway, बहुत सारे लोगों ने बहुत सारे कमेंट दिए हैं, बट आई थिंक दैट पीपल आर टॉकिंग विथ ईच अदर. सो जब कोई दो लोग आपस में बात कर रहे हो तो मैं उसको इग्नोर कर रहा हूँ. Nandita says, I might for a month, even though Vimo's thoughts are very different, but it's good to know, adapt, learn, and unlearn a few things. Nandita, there's no pressure. If you don't want to become a member, that's also okay. I encourage people to become a member because I'm an independent creator and I use the money I make from my content to buy books, to buy software, and to, pay bills and buy food also. But if anyone doesn't want to or can't, no pressure at all. My content is going to continue to be free. It's just that people who become members help me a little bit and I repay them a little bit through a little bit of priority comment reading. That's all. Night Sky says, India needs a strong opposition party. Congress is useless and BJP is taking advantage of it. I don't disagree. Amritpal Sodhi says, don't you think India needs more psychiatrists to cure the public? India needs a lot of things, and psychiatrists are probably definitely one of those things. India definitely needs increased emphasis on mental health, widespread emphasis on it. But we also have other problems. Robin Hood says, Muslims, urban Naxals, communists, Khalistani, Pakistan, China, US, Gandhis, the list is endless. The list of what? Is this a continuation of something? ध्रुव says बचपन से ही धर्म का नशा करते रहने से पढ़े लिखे लोग भी धार्मिक मूर्ख बने रहते हैं. Yes. Yash says consumers are also not aware if they support good companies they can change the market. I would say, so here's the thing, I would say support small companies, support घरेलू businesses, local dukandars, etc. as far as possible, and that will change things, because the big company only brings one thing extra to the market, and that is good advertising and good marketing. If you support small businesses, you're still supporting some kind of a capitalism, but at least you're not supporting people who exploit millions of people all over the world in exchange for massive funding for their personal homes. Robin says Elon Musk ousted the real founders of Tesla using unfair means. He also threatened his own employees against forming unions. And by the way, the first ever Amazon union, Amazon Workers Union, has happened today. This is like historic, and not many people have talked about it because clearly unions ki kisko padi hai. But Amazon has been so anti-union its entire existence that this is nothing short of a miracle. The first ever Amazon union exists now. You can follow them on Twitter also. Their handle is Amazon Union. AMAZON. No, Amazon Labor. AMAZON LABOR. American spelling. Samad says, Amit Pal, two things. Welfare capitalism has its own problems, and Elon Musk is not someone I would categorize as good. Sorry, a better word would be philanthrocapitalism rather than welfare capitalism. Amrit Pal says, got it. Skipping a few. Someone says GRF payments are not monthly. They send it every 3-4 months and there is no certainty. Also, the funds are so less that a scholar doesn't even have elbow space. Okay. समर्थ, तुम मेंबर बन गए मतलब इतना कमेंट करना जरूरी है? तुम्हारे सारे कमेंट पढ़ने पड़ेंगे अब. कौशल says विमो, रिसर्च स्टाइपेंड मिलेगा तब मेंबर बन जाऊंगा. तथास्तु, ईश्वर करे, नॉन एग्जिस्टेंट ईश्वर करे कि तुमको मिल जाए. Samad says, Are, I'm just pitching the membership to people I know personally. Nandita Bhatia and Raj Sarit Khare. Thank you, Samad, for doing that. I appreciate it. Santa X says, we should treat theists like kids talking about their favorite superheroes. Not always. Sometimes they are smarter than us in their respective areas, not on the matter of religion, in which I think it's very clear that there is no evidence for the existence of God. Opinion Hated says evolution is not a concerted effort. It is an accident that somehow works. I think if anyone asked me, why are we here? How are we here? How did the universe come into being? My answer would be somehow, because that's the best answer available. Because we know so little about our cosmic origins, somehow would appear to be the best possible answer. बच्चों ज़्यादा टाइम तक हेडफोन पहनने से कान के बैंड बज जाता है. But anyway, we are at 2 hours, 12 minutes, and I will end the live stream now. Thank you everyone for joining. I will remind you that if you want to listen to this in audio format online, my podcast is available at vimo.in. If you want to support me on Patreon, you can do so at patreon.com/vimo. If you want to support this channel without Patreon, there is a join button underneath each video now that you can click on and you can become a member of the channel. In return, you'll get a badge next to your name in the live stream. And you will get special emojis that you can use. And the emojis are based on my face because this is my channel. If you want book recommendations, I have a page at amazon.in/shop/vimo. There are a whole lot of categories on that page, and I've put in books that I find interesting. Which reminds me, the next live stream, I will bring out a few books of mine and I will recommend them to you. I'll show you the books and I'll tell you why I love them, etc., etc. So look forward to that maybe. My Hindi podcast about atheism is available at nastikchai.com. Nastik Chai is available on every audio platform of your choice, just as this podcast is going to be. Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Gaana.com, Jio, Savan, jahan bhi audio sunte ho, my podcasts are available. Just search for Vimo Talks or Nastik Chai. If you don't want to support me on YouTube or Patreon, you can just make a one-time donation at this URL, vimo.stck.me. एंड दैट इज़ अबाउट इट. और इस सब को बोलने के बाद आई विल जस्ट यू नो संडे सुबह 9 बजे 3 पंडित बैठ के लोगों को मंगल दोष बताएंगे. Discord, right? The Discord server. So go to this channel's main page, youtube.com/vimolive. The top corner of the banner image, there is a link now called Join the Discord server. Click on it and you will end up in my Discord server. Pretty soon, I am going to add voice chat to my Discord server, but it will only be for members, because I don't want it to be a place where 10,000 people are talking about 10,000 things, and some of it is hate speech, some of it is problematic sexism, and I don't want to moderate all of it. So the audio chat on my Discord server will only be members only. I'm going to figure out tomorrow how to do it. आज तो थक गया हूँ. दोपहर को एक एपिसोड किया था अश्विन के साथ, और अभी तो गला भी सूख गया बोल बोल के 2 घंटे बात करके. But we'll do that. Discord server is on the channel's main page. Go look in the top right corner. And with that, we have reached the end of it. Thank you everyone who joined. I will see you on Wednesday at 10 p.m. where we will talk about more shit like we usually do. Thank you for joining today. Bye.